Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Internet, members of the Grog Empire. Welcome to Grog Talk. I'm James.
I'm Dan.
And where are we from today, Dan?
Well, unfortunately, we're still in the abyss.
Uh-oh.
But the good news is we're getting deeper.
We are.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing, right?
Yes, we are.
Has the abyss flattened out yet? I'm waiting for the abyss curve to flatten. But we're in the grand abyss, the fourth layer. And
right.
James, I'm here to tell you, there's hope.
Oh, there's hope.
Because there's hope. There's hope. This is also known as the blood rift. Now that would not suggest hope.
No, that sounds
obviously.
horrible. But
it does, and it's a bottomless chasm. That doesn't sound promising either.
No, that doesn't. That doesn't sound good at well. Go ahead.
But what I've been told by the internets is that this reaches almost every single layer of the abyss via portals or gates. And the good news is this layer itself had no ruler, which is weird. Isn't the abyss chaotic anyway?
Right. Well, they still have rulers.
See, they're hypocrites, aren't they?
Well, it's survival of the fittest kind of thing, you know.
They rule because they're the most powerful. Well, so what you're saying is if you're lawful, you're pro-democracy?
As long as people think it's democracy, they really don't care. As long as it keeps order, that's what they care about.
Or hereditary, because that would be not just the strongest. So there's hope, I think, because it sounds like there's ways out.
Oh, I see. So that's what you're getting out of this. Even though we're in the blood rift, we're in, what was the other thing you called this place?
This is the Grand Abyss.
The Grand Abyss, right? So this is like the Grand Hyatt of the abyssal areas, you know.
Right, or like I think you said before we came on the air, a Grand Central Station.
The Grand Central Station to all of the demonic things.
And I guess that is a problem, because I guess there's a flaw in my plan. It only reaches every other single layer of the abyss.
Right.
I guess I was reading that as a way out of this layer.
Right.
But apparently not a way out of the abyss.
So we want to get back to the first layer. That's the thing. So are we continuing to descend? And unfortunately, I'm sure it's not like labeled properly. You know, this is abyss. Go to layer 1 of the abyss. Level 2, level 3. It's more probably mislabeled.
Well, and you know what the problem is? There's always so much construction. And I'm always missing my portal. And I'm like, oh man, and now I'm like off to like
that's right.
some random, I have no idea where I'm at.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the other issue too, is you always miss the exit. And now, I guess we should be fortunate that we're on the 4th layer. But, you know, with only 662 left, hopefully this contagion/pandemic will come to some resolution before we get down to the final layer. We can get back together again. So we have got an interesting show today. We've got some guests. We have hello everyone. So the folks out in Asia are representing very well today. So we have our Chamberlain from Australia, Menyon is on, Bill from New Jersey. Hello, sir, and Method is on as well. Good morning to all. Good afternoon. Good evening. So we've got, let's go over our announcements. Again, we're still tracking to do GrogCon at October 9th through the 11th here at the Days Hotel by Wyndham in the Orlando area, October 9th through 11th. If you can come, that would be great. And again, because we may be the only convention available, and we will comply with the maximum people allowed in a setting. That should not be a problem for us, right?
Yes, no problem at all. This is why we are really probably the only convention that can go forward. We're the only one that is projecting fewer than 20 attendees. And the good news is, my understanding, James, is if the hotel has gone out of business, you'll be hosting. Is that right?
I guess so. That's right. It will be at my house. It will be GrogCon in the palatial estate. Yeah. So sure, why not? That'd be great. That's awesome. Why not? Who am I to not host it? You don't think they would let us into the hotel? That's terrible.
No, no. This is assuming the hotel is still in business.
Oh, right. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
That makes
Orlando's
sense.
taking quite a hit,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
Because of all the tourism.
Right.
And,
yeah, it's basically we're all going to be bankrupt soon. So after the pandemic, then we'll be unemployed. But we'll worry about that later. I also want to congratulate Brian and Josh for Grognard's Online Guild, our Grognard's Guild Online that we're doing. They're doing it every week. So if you are hunkering for gaming because you can't play online, go to our meetup. Brian is doing Defenders of the Realm, his campaign, and Josh is doing Temple of Elemental Evil right now. So,
if you're hankering because you're hunkering.
Yes, if you're hunkering down and you're hankering for adventure, that is something you could do right now. So and in fact, I'm going to try to be a guest NPC for Brian's game next Friday. So if that's something you're interested in, feel free to come by. I also want to congratulate our dear friend Vic Dorso, and that's my cool guy fingers I just pointed at him, for his successful Kickstarter. Keep It Blood Red Falls made its goal. We were a backer. A lot of people other did. So again, congratulations to him, and I'm looking forward to seeing the final product.
So I've never been part of a Kickstarter before.
Well, you have been now.
Yes, and is it my understanding that at this point in time is when we now get to start saying routinely, "Where's my damn stuff?"
Right. In fact, I started that the second it was over. Right.
Okay. I don't know the etiquette or what the process,
Yeah.
but I've gotten sort of that sense that that's what you start doing now.
Exactly. Every 3 seconds. In fact, I'll be going on Twitter, and hopefully he'll be doing our hex crawl next week. We can ask him, "Hey, where's our stuff now? I want our stuff."
Right. Right. Is this a scam? Right.
Because if I see pictures of him on Twitter with rolls of money just laying around, I'm going to be pissed. You're right.
I've decided I would never do a Kickstarter, because it seems to me that half the Kickstarters, the people end up being accused of taking money. Right. And years later, nothing happens.
Well, the Kickstarter is probably not as bad as the GoFundMes, which is, where, if you were to say, you only have 2 years to live, like we know, because of the dice, and you need money, right. And then, 10 years later, you're still going on. That would be a little awkward.
So what you're saying is I need to make sure I do, in fact, die in 2 years.
That's right. Just off yourself if you have to. So
if I have to.
Just to keep those people who supported me feeling okay. Exactly.
Right. Because the dice don't lie.
The dice do not lie. So I'm sure that will also be available to people. So we're looking forward. And hopefully we will be able to give away to one of our patrons a Keep It Blood Red Falls, either signed, and hopefully signed by Victor. So that would be super cool.
In blood.
Well, of course in blood. So again, thanks to our patrons. We do this, a lot of this we do because of your support. So we thank you for that. We know times are tough for a lot of folks, so appreciate everyone's help. No heraldry today, so if you want to be part of the Grog Empire, just become a patron at any level, and you will be... I've stepped up my game on the... I think you like your heraldry.
Very much so. Yes. Thank you very much. Yeah, I loved the name, and I loved the crest. Absolutely.
Yep, so we're having a lot of fun with that. And if you like what we're doing and you listen on our podcast, please if you listen via iTunes, feel free to put a comment, good or bad. Those are fun to watch, and we'd like to see that. So, moving on, we've got the random encounter. We're ready for that.
Okay.
So the giant Gar is still swimming he is swimming in the Grand Central Abyssal Station at this point.
Oh, and I saw something about a blood river.
Yeah.
So going down the wall. So he could be in the blood river or something like that.
Kind of like one of those wall aquariums where you see the Gar swimming in there in the blood. That's beautiful.
Exactly. Now, look, this is like a situation where you've had a pet, or even worse, a child, for several weeks, and you still don't have a name. This is, the Gar. How many? The Gar has won 2 now.
Right.
Right?
I thought I said Gar Glittergold. That was my.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. We got it. Okay, you're right. I'd forgotten. Okay, yeah. So Gar Glittergold.
The Gar.
Gar
Glittergold. That's right.
Gar Glittergold. Okay, so I'm rolling the Dorso roll.
Yep.
I've rolled a 5, and as usual, you will need to remind me what that means. Monster Manual. I can't believe I ever agreed to the Monster Manual 2. How did that happen?
It's because it has the tables. You can't do the Monster Manual only.
Okay. Okay, well, that makes sense. So there's an explanation.
And,
okay.
That's part 1. And part 2, it's still technically part of AD&D 1.0.
That's true. What year is this?
1983. Even Minion. It's pre-1985. So that's why it is allowed.
So this is interesting because it's not actually, but what I like to do is I like to try to figure out where I was in terms of how I viewed things back in the 80s and reconstruct it. And I do remember when the Monster Manual 2 came out, I already was feeling kind of like, eh. So by 1983 already, so my golden years were really just like several years, and after that I was kind of like, meh. Okay, that's a different issue. All right. So
you were disinterested by 1983, and yet 37 years later you're looking at a book.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I continued to play for like another 6 years after that too.
What?
But we were not using much of that. I think we sort of were really using a lot of the Monster Manual too. So yeah, no, I think I was just sort of, something, I enjoyed it. It was something to do, but really it was that 80 to 83, I think probably where, I think I realized when Monster Manual 2 came out, I don't know if rightly or wrongly, that was like, they're kind of running out of stuff here. But
No, I agree, and I think my material, when I've looked back at how much material was made past that I didn't even know about, because now looking back, you see all this. You go on eBay, or Drive-Thru RPG. There's so much first edition stuff that I didn't even know about, and then let alone second edition going forward. It felt so small, the game, when we played it. There was 3 or 4 books, and there was a couple you could have used, and there were some modules. And then you look at basic, there really was less. So I guess it was a law of diminishing returns. The more things came out, the less I was interested in it. So I agree with you. I thought the cover was pretty cool, but after reading it, I'm like, well, a lot of these monsters are from the module. So from the modules, I saw the number, particularly all the weird ones from S3, Expedition to the Barrier Peaks. That kind of went, They just that was the first inclination to me was, wow, this is just kind of a reskin of stuff. So, oh well.
I don't think I'd ever noticed that that's a giant on the cover. I didn't notice that smaller knight fighting him.
Gotcha.
Did you notice? You probably known that.
I did.
Yeah, okay.
Well, because they're common. It's a hill giant, so.
Oh, that's a hill giant.
Well,
okay.
It has to be. They're common, and they're it's not a forest giant.
Yeah, I got you.
There's a hill.
Yeah.
So I'm.
Must be. Well, we're in the abyss.
That's true.
People get lost, okay?
That's true. All right.
Okay.
Let's make it happen.
All right. So you are rolling, I assume, a die 10?
Yeah.
Is that right?
I'm still using my wonderful Valentine's Day dice.
Oh, are we doing Naked and Afraid today?
What was that about? I'm sorry.
It was a spell. You end up...
Now I'm as bad as you are.
No, there's a spell, and you end up, if you don't do the spell right or something like that, don't you end up in the ethereal plane?
Oh, that's right, yes.
Someone's got to save you?
Yes, that's right. That was, what spell was that?
Not teleport.
Oh, that's right. It was Dimension Door.
Dimension Door?
Yes. Dimension Door was if you go into a place that's not empty. It does have no error, but if you fall into that. That's right, exactly. Now I'm becoming as bad as you. Every week is just a blur. I think it's this captivity is really, it's really affecting me.
Hang in there, James.
So I'll be all right. Let's see, Dimension Door. Yes, you're exactly right. Very good. Yes, if you occupy a solid body, he or she remains in the astral plane until located by some helpful creature willing to dispel magic. That's correct. Very good.
You know what's happening here?
Uh-huh.
We're switching. I'm becoming you, and you're becoming me.
Yeah.
You're going to become forgetful, and what was that? Huh? What rule? You're not get. You're gonna routinely roll the 10-sided when you're supposed to be rolling an 8-sided because you can't tell the difference.
Right. They all look the same.
They all look the same.
It's just, and I'm sure everyone else feels like this is a little bit of Groundhog Day. It's either I'm getting ready for the podcast, uploading a podcast, editing a video, going to work, repeat. So anyway.
Yeah. Okay.
Woe is me, boo-hoo in my house, and I'm not starving. So I'm going to shut up now. Thank you, David. Yes, Dimension Door. Go ahead.
But are you wiping? Okay. All right. Roll a D10, sir.
D10. 6. All right, miss.
Oh, it's not a dungeon. Oh, I like it. It is an outdoor random encounter.
Wonderful.
So I now need you, hold on, to roll probably. It's going to be it is a D6.
Ooh, D6.
Yeah.
4.
Okay, that is a temperate, civilized region. Now, hang on. There are now, of course, 6 different areas within temperate, civilized regions. So you've got to, so roll a die 6 again,
all right,
please.
1.
Oh, we're in the mountains in a temperate, hey, what? You know where we are? Oh, that's not the mountains, that's the hills,
It's more
right?
hilly, yeah.
All right. So you're now rolling your 2 to 20, which only you know how to do.
Old me knew how to do it. New me is...
Oh, do you need help?
No, I think I got it. Oh, 13.
A large spider.
You like spiders.
I do like spiders. There was a Dragon magazine which had all new spiders, as you know. It had a daddy long legs and had a whole variety of them. I liked them quite well. So, okay. So a large spider. Now, there's good news. Large spiders have poison.
Yes.
So they've always got a puncher's, or should I say a biter's chance.
That's right. And it's
as we know.
But large doesn't feel very large when you get to it, if I remember correctly.
So it's not the picture, the famous picture.
Yeah, that one.
No.
I think that one's a giant spider. Because a large spider is just small.
They're small.
Yeah, they're small.
But deadly.
Yeah.
It's got a chance.
So we're looking for those. We're on page 91 of the Monster Manual, and you can see the famous, not a giant spider, but this is not a large spider. This is a giant spider.
And who did that? Is that Tramp? I assume. I see a T at
D-A-T,
the end there.
Yeah.
David A. Trampier. So that's wonderful, isn't it?
Yep.
Oh, and look, did you notice that on the right, somebody has spotted the spider? He's telling the elf.
That's right.
He seems to be a magic user of probably the illusionist, because he's got, it looks like a cloak there, doesn't it?
Well, the elf thief is not paying attention. Should be up front, finding out what's going on.
Yeah, you know what he's saying? He's saying to the elf, you should climb that wall.
Yeah.
Go up there and investigate. Climb that wall and see what's up there.
Yeah.
And he's like...
And he's got that look of, what?
Screw you.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, wait a second. The fighter in the front has hit the cobweb, though.
Right. And
right?
Yeah, he does. And what is interesting, this is not how my players would have played. We would have been very mad that the fighter would be holding the torch. Why is the magic user not holding the torch? He's useless. The fighter should be having a shield. This is.
But then he can't cast a spell fast.
Well, or don't they have a torchbearer? They're supposed to have a torchbearer. So
They did. Of course they did.
That's right. He's dead.
Let's talk. Get the marching order. So fighters in front.
Yeah, there's a dwarf.
Looks like. Does it make sense to have the magic user in the middle of the party?
I guess. Hopefully that finger's a cleric or something. They don't have a cleric here. That's not good because they're going to need slow poison in this case. Oh
yeah, this is not good. So all right.
Well, as someone who played a torchbearer, I feel a little slighted that there was not a torchbearer here. So, but that's fine.
That should be you should write that up as a class.
The torchbearer class.
NPC class.
Well, as David Thompson said, Link Boy.
Yes, exactly right. Link Boy. Okay, the large spider. James, can you guess its frequency? I'm sure you can.
Common.
Right. Number appearing.
Well, now I'm looking at it now, so.
That's a lot.
Right.
2 to 20.
Yeah. That's
AC
ridiculous.
8. I assume that movement is the larger one is for their web. They're probably 15 inches in their web, I'm assuming.
Yes, that's their special movement in their web, correct.
Right. 1+1 hit die.
Now,
60% in the lair.
Yeah, go ahead, keep going.
Yep, 1 attack. They do 1 point of damage, but of course they have poison. They are small. These creatures scuttle and scurry about on walls, ceilings, and floors, in and out of their webs. Always, I love this, always searching for victims. And I get it, we're playing Dungeons and Dragons. It's not Animal Kingdom. But everything, you either love human flesh or you're aggressive, right? You're looking to attack. Which is one of them is, I thought one of them was like an 80% chance that it'll come out and attack you, be aggressive. That may have been something else. But so they're always looking for, what kind of victim? What does that mean? I mean, what do they eat?
I assume they eat, I'm sure it's the, like Shelob or whatever, basically anything that's warm-blooded.
Oh, look here, it was the next sentence.
Oh.
I just kept reading. They are 90% likely to attack any creature within 30 feet. So, they're aggressive.
Yeah.
So if there's 2 to 20, if you rolled a random encounter and you got 2 to 20, and there's just like a whole bunch of them.
Yeah. What's a thing of? Well, I think we should make them a water one, just because we're in the water, in the blood thing. I know we rolled large spider, but I like the idea of a water giant spider.
You didn't want like the web coming across, and the garp.
Yeah.
The gar is.
That's fine. Yeah, okay, keep going with large spider. I just was fascinated by the water giant spider because I've never used
Oh my
one.
God, we are switching.
Yeah.
You're becoming me.
Right, exactly.
Hey, look on this page. There's another spider.
Squirrel.
I like this one
exactly.
better.
I like this one better.
No, we can't do that. The dice don't lie.
Yes,
if you want it.
yes.
Okay. So, because if you think about it, the poor spider, itsy bitsy spider, is going up the blood river spout,
Right.
doing the little web, all very proud
Yeah.
of the web, but it's like catching lots of abyss weird flies, but it's right above this blood river, right? And so the gar
Yeah.
is going to
Out came the gar and thrashed it all about, that kind of thing.
exactly.
Wow, we are
So-
limericks now. This is our lyricists, excuse me.
So easy. All right. So
I think we're ready.
yeah, I don't think we can talk anything more about large spiders. All right. So it could be a surprise here because
Absolutely.
that gar may have no idea. He might stick his head into the web.
Right.
Is he going to get stuck? How does that roll? What
He
happens?
does not get. Look, he's not going to get stuck. The gar is 21 feet long. It's not that. I don't mind entertaining some flights of fancy with you, but the gar is not going to get stuck through the spider web. He may not even notice the spider web as he travails through and.
He doesn't even know that he's eaten the spider.
That's right.
He just goes through and he doesn't feel that well later.
Right. He's got a little indigestion. So.
Wait a second. Okay, hold on. He would eat the spider, right?
Well, he would.
We need to have this.
He would have to bite it. Now, the question is, does he swallow him whole?
Exactly. And what effect does that have?
Well, there is a rule, if we recall from the gar, that any hit of 20 indicates he has done so.
So if you swallow, then that raises the issue, is because usually with PCs, they're usually not eating the monsters that have poison, right? Typically. But if you have a monster that's going to do it, wouldn't we have to talk about whether or not he would have to then do a save on the poison if he eats it?
No, well, only if he's, part of the poison.
If he swallows
If he swallows it, but he also has to be, the spider has to sting you. It's not just in your stomach. It has to get into your bloodstream.
It wouldn't get into your bloodstream at all just by eating it?
I would say no. But I'm sure, we'll ask the Grog Empire for a ruling on that. I would say, because what you can do is if you are swallowed whole, the swallowed creature must be able, the swallowed a creature so swallowed must have this is easy to say. A creature so swallowed must have a sharp-edged weapon in hand to have any chance of cutting its way out. I would argue that if it survived the swallowing, because it says if a creature is swallowed whole, there's a 5% chance per melee round that it will die. So you would basically, you could argue that he could try to keep biting it, but eventually it would be killed. That's what I would say.
Oh, I think that's right. Right, death from within.
Exactly.
In the abyss. All right, let's do it. So we're rolling for surprise, correct?
Yes. We're in the Blood River, inside the Grand Abyssal Station, and the spider is there, and now we're doing surprise. 1.
I rolled a 3.
Oh, you have surprise. Congratulations.
So what's happening here? So he's like jumping out of the water to catch like a fly or something like that flying by. He doesn't notice this web going across, right?
I'm not sure he's going after that. What is the larvae? Isn't larvae the things that are in the abyss?
Oh, yeah, those
The
little
little undead, the face guys,
guy.
right? The larvae, are they in the abyss? Oh, they're...
Okay, so maybe he's like going up on
they're
like
in
the bank.
Hades. I don't know. There's got to be. Well, yeah, he's hungry. He's eating little distorted faces. Yeah.
Yeah. Giant dragonfly, something like that, right?
Exactly.
All right. And he never sees, because it's a web. Right. He never sees it, and he's small. He never sees it. I love it. Here we go. Wouldn't it be great? I would love if our champ was a large spider, which of course is not large.
Well, and you know, because of our folks online, we already have something. I think we're going to need to give a bonus when we get to the next section. So go ahead, roll your. His armor class is 3, I think.
Oh no.
Yeah, he's pretty tough. But go ahead, just roll.
Okay. 15.
Ooh, that almost could have hit, because you are 1+1 hit dice.
Does the +1 help?
1+1, yes, that's a big deal. You hit.
What did
15.
I need? 15. This is, oh wow. Yeah, there it is, 15. Okay. So now you take a hit point of damage, which of course is not particularly significant.
Oh, one hit point he took?
You take 1 hit point of damage.
All right, so there's some chat about here. So this is what we are saying, that the Gar, being 21 feet long or longer, is swimming through the Blood River, and there is a spider web, and as he went through it, thinking, oh, who cares, the spider got surprise on him, and now is hit. Now the Gar needs to...
I should be riding.
That's right.
I should just be like on his
back.
You're
a Gar-riding spider demon.
Meaning I just keep biting.
That's right. So I need to make a saving throw, huh?
Yes, but it is a +2.
Gar is 8 hit dice.
Oh, no.
Against poison, he needs an 8 or above.
Did that include the +2?
That includes the +2, because unfortunately he had it, because I rolled an 8. Today is the day of numbers, so he counts as an 8th level fighter. He needs a 10 against poison. +2 is 8. I rolled an 8 +2. He did survive.
Boo.
Boo? That's good.
Does he even notice me?
I'm not sure yet, but now it's initiative.
Okay, let's do it. I guess he has noticed. Oh wait, are we declaring?
Yes, the Gar is attacking the spider.
Okay, am I in the water? Yeah, I'm attacking.
You're on what's left of the spider web at this point. It's on him, so he's going to have to figure out. I'm going to say he's going to attack at a minus, because you're basically, here's what you are. The spider is on the front of the Gar's mouth, and he's kind of trying to get him into his mouth. He's like on
I'm like running around.
Yeah, he's like on the tendril of the web that's in front of him.
Does he have a tongue?
Yeah, because you kind of look at, if you go back to the picture of the Gar, see how he's chasing the man? Again, the Monster Manual, the best instructional book ever. You see, so I'm almost envisioning that the spider web is like right at the edge, like that fish that would tease people with their little, you know what I'm talking about. Help me out here.
Yes. All right, so I'm taunting.
That's right. 3.
Ooh. I rolled a 6.
Okay, you get to go again.
Come on. Big money. 19.
Wow. Okay, that's 2 points. You know what? Is it literally a point of damage each time?
Yes, death by 1,000 bites.
And
that's literally how many it'll take.
Yeah, I'm gonna hope I don't have to roll his hit dice, because... Oh, that's cockeyed. Cockeyed. 5. That's the end of him. I rolled a 5. But now we have to do divine intervention.
Nice dice.
Thank you. I love them. So you are successful. You fling yourself onto the gar and sting him, and he anglerfish. That's right. And he's poisoned. But divine intervention. Right?
So the gar is like that damn save or die roll. I hate that roll.
Right. Oh,
as he's going
the dice
down.
are being thrown right now.
You suck.
This dice sucks. Son of a.
Gygax is laughing behind you.
That's right. In honor of Gygax.
He's got that
All
luck.
praises.
Wow. A large. So hold on. Can we just, before we do divine intervention? Well, maybe we should do it after divine intervention because I want to talk about how we got to this. The champ that we have.
Right.
He's the champ, and what we past champs that we, it's pretty amazing that we have this as the champ. But okay, but yes, it's time for divine intervention.
Well, and people were kind of hoping that the spider would die because they came up with a really good idea. Who would be the divine intervention in the abyss for spiders?
Oh, well, that may happen down the road.
Right. That's exactly right. That's right. So we have to remember that.
I'm sorry, down the abyss.
As we continue to travail down the abyss. That's right. And I think
true.
it's double bonus because you're in the abyss.
Oh,
I'd have to look that
indeed.
up.
Yeah.
Is there? I mean, if you're on the actual plane.
I mean, she could be like just sitting there.
Just hanging out.
She's nearby.
Yeah.
Give me a call. I can be there in a minute. I'm in the neighborhood. I'm on the 630. Well, particularly if it happened here with all those portals.
Right.
But I assume that Loth can kind of probably move pretty rapidly, can't she, through the abyss?
Yeah, I would say so. I think they can go to any abyss. So.
Is she on a layer? Do we know the layer she's on? Wait, isn't she on the demon web pits?
That's her layer.
Okay, so it is. Do we know? I guess it has a number.
I'm sure someone on the internet has put it on there. I think she may be the 66 layer because she has 66 hit points, but don't quote me on that. Oh, boy, we could also look into Q1. Perhaps does Q1 tell us which layer it's on? I don't remember.
So this spider is like a servant.
That's right. Q1 we're talking about.
I say Loth. Is it Loth or Loth? People say
I say Loth.
You say Loth?
But I think either one is fine.
Didn't you love how Jim Ward declined to answer how you pronounce the orc deity?
Yes.
That he created?
He's like, nope, I'm not going to tell you.
Yeah, that was bad. But funny.
It doesn't say. It says the web is one of the 666 layers of the abyss.
No.
And it consists of 3 interwoven layers, levels over which floats a 4th layer level. So it doesn't say. But I'm sure on the internet probably.
So that's the interwebs?
That's right. Menion thinks it's the 66 layer too. So okay.
Okay.
All right. So divine intervention for the fish. So now we need a fish god if this works. I guess it could be Beta Bloop Bloop for the whatever her name is, the Kutoa deity. She's like a fish.
Yeah. Or
go ahead.
Or Neptune.
Or Neptune. That's true.
Or Poseidon.
But
right?
would Neptune go to the abyss? I don't think so. So this would be interesting. Would they interfere on the abyss? But let's see. Let's hope I roll it and I don't have to worry about it. At 40, I don't have to worry about it. All right.
Just bubbles.
Just bubbles. Bloop,
it goes
bloop,
down.
Bloop, bloop.
So keep in mind here that the large spider now can claim superiority over many really amazing monsters because you know how like when your favorite team beats another team and then you say
the
like
belt.
for UCF
the belt it's called
the belt
right.
Or UCF in football beat Auburn and Auburn had beaten Alabama. And so now, and then Alabama was like the national champs. They were competing for it. And so, you can do that business.
Right.
So if you think of it, so who is we had the Red Dragon.
Charon Demon. A demon.
Right?
Yep.
Right? All of those that there is the large spider can claim.
Without superiority. That's right. He has the belt. Assuming it's a he. We should.
It doesn't fit.
She.
It's too big.
She has the belt.
She. Okay.
I think a spider should be a female. So.
Okay.
Because don't the spiders like eat their male consorts a lot of times, or is that the praying mantis? I don't know. I can't keep track of all the arachnid insects.
I think the praying mantis does that for sure.
All right.
Okay, so we're gonna have to get a name for.
Now we need a name for the spider, the demonic spider that's in the Blood River abyss. Shelob. Okay, that was obvious.
Lil Loth.
Little Loth. That's right. That's her gang. That's her rap name. That's what.
That was a rap face.
That's right. When she was a rapper, Little Loth.
It was a small period of time.
I gotcha.
And her parents weren't happy. So all right,
here we go. You know, this is why we have our wonderful people.
You didn't even say excuse me to go delicious.
Yes. Excuse me.
Just name things down there on top of the gnomes. Man, I don't show up to the studio and it goes to hell or the abyss. Look at that.
There. I'll put this back up.
What? Yeah, exactly.
So Menyon said that in page 103 of the Abyss, it's interesting because it says the 65th layer is Los Web, but the 66th layer is Los Domain. That's interesting. So that is in the manual of the Pranes, but that is post. That's D&D 1.5. But there you go. It is what it is.
Well, we'll be there. We'll be there at some point.
That's right. At some point, we'll see it.
We'll check it. We'll check it out. All right. So yeah. So please send in names.
We got Anna Spider with a dollar sign. Very good. That is a rap hip hop name. Ungoliant. Ungoliant. Ungoli. It's Ungoliant. Okay. And 65th layer. And Arachnid. There you go. That's good too.
Arachnid.
All right, we'll have to put that. I got to put that on Twitter. All right, cool. Next, spell selection.
Let's do it.
You can roll, sir.
Oh, okay. Hang on. I got to get my player's handbook out here.
But Naked and Afraid, I forgot. That is a good one. That is good.
Man, I guess we should probably change the name. I don't want to get sued.
What, Naked and Afraid? Why not? Who's going to sue us?
How does...
That would be
not having...
That would be our biggest problem if someone knew that we were using them in a copyright way.
That would be the best publicity we could ever have, right? It's like Gary, like they said that they loved it. Gary loved it when they had the book burnings because they went out and bought more books, and everyone just wanted to, it got more popular. It was the best thing that ever happened to them. A 90. I rolled a 90, sir.
That
for spell selection.
Cleric, I think. I think that's cleric. Now I have to check. I'm reading, folks, because the Angry Monk can't see anyone else's comments. I don't think that's... Is everyone else's comments working? Because I don't think I changed anything on that, so please let me know if that's an issue.
Aren't we good enough? I'll take that as a no.
Oh, are we good enough?
That's hilarious, Dan.
That is good.
Good one.
It is cleric. Yay for us. So
yay. Now it could be a druid, right?
Right, so up to 25%.
Is a druid, okay. 63.
Nope, it's cleric.
Okay, hey, there's nothing wrong with that. We need some cleric business in the Abyss, don't we?
That's hilarious. We're good enough. Grog Talk, we're good because we're good enough. And better than prison. I got you.
Better than prison. All right, so do you know how many... Well, you're looking.
Well, I know there's seven layer.
7-layer cake.
No, we haven't been drinking either. This is just our normal.
Wow,
stupidity.
Do you think you could actually make a cake with 666 layers? You have like an abyss cake.
The abyssal cake? Can you order that?
Yeah,
I love that.
You actually make a cake with 666 layers.
The 666
and each
layer has the thing?
That'd be good, right?
Well,
it should be red velvet, don't you think?
Well, some of it would be good. Some would probably be full of maggots and,
Okay, so you are roll your 7-sided die.
There's a game that has there's a number that has 7-sided die. Which is it Rollmaster? Who has a 7-sided die? There's, back in the day, that weird dice, I forgot. 3.
Okay, 3rd level, so you're rolling a 12-sided.
Cockeyed. 4.
Cure blindness.
Cure blindness.
Okay.
I would think this would, this is one of those, it shouldn't take too long. It should just do what it says. but we'll see.
Right.
Ah,
Did you need that spell as a teenager?
cure. I think it was more cure nearsightedness. I don't think I ever got to blindness, but
Okay. All right. I needed it once. Yeah. Once I started paying attention to school, once I started studying, that's what I needed. That's what I needed glasses.
That's
There were benefits to not studying. Okay.
Dungeon Crawl Classics. Thank you, sir. Mannion told me that. I knew there was, and by the way, I listened to David Thompson has some YouTube videos up there recently. He's put some more about XP and levels on YouTube. You should go check that out. Mannion's Confessions of a Wee Timorous Bushy is great. I listened to a few of them, so that's why I'm hearing all this. It's all just a blur. No, I think we should have been drinking. That's the only excuse at this point. I don't get it. They're asking if we've been drinking. I'm drinking coffee, but I probably should be drinking, period. All right.
Yeah, that's not good when your standard show people want to know if you've been drinking.
Yeah, it would make a lot more sense. It's pretty rough. Okay. So I don't understand why they even need 3 sentences. It should just be it cures blindness, but they still have 3 blind things.
Yeah, because you think so. It says by touching the creature afflicted. We already know that because it says the range is touch. Can permanently cure most forms of blindness.
Why is it most?
Wait, what?
Right.
Yeah, what? Well, we're going to have to look in the DMG. It's reverse cause blindness. Now, that's way more interesting, let's face it. Requires a successful touch upon the victim. And if the victim then makes a saving throw, the effect is... Yeah, no. So, yeah, it's the reverse. So that would be a pretty cool spell for combat, melee, right? So you can always take the reverse, can't you? I mean, it's not. You don't have to be an evil cleric to take... Usually these reverse spells seem to be more evil, but you don't have to be an evil cleric to take the reverse spell, correct?
You don't have to be, but it's certainly... it's implied that reverse should be taken with care, but it doesn't not necessarily... If in any event, the cleric... So on page 43, it talks about the reversing.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I see it right there. The second paragraph under cleric spells?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Right. The reversal of some spell. The reversal of some spells might well place a cleric... in a questionable position with respect to alignment. I mean, I understand like things like what, well, I don't know. I was thinking of Raise Dead, but that's not a reverse spell. The use of spells which promote weal must be shunned by evil clerics in many cases. Likewise, spells which are baneful may be used only at peril by clerics of good alignment. Incautious use of spells will change the cleric's alignment if such usage continues unchecked. And it is up to the player to guard his or her character's alignment with care. I don't think a lot of us think about that, do we? When we're playing a cleric? I mean, I don't know.
Well, most people don't play the reverses unless they're evil. It's almost implied that. You don't see good clerics memorizing cause light wounds for 2 reasons. One, it just feels icky. And 2, the rest of the party is like, what do you mean you're taking cause light wounds? Your only purpose here is to heal us. That's your... You have one function, heal. They get sad when you take a command or a bless spell. They go, really?
Right.
And if it's like you who's taking, I don't know, I remember last time you played a cleric. I think you took light.
I randomly rolled.
Right. Which
I like to randomly roll my spells because I like the learning.
Right, you do like, and that's why people love you playing the cleric, because like you got one job, heal, and instead you're picking create water, which is awesome.
Yeah, here I'm going to randomly, so I'm a first level cleric, and this is really the way it went down, right?
You got to roll 3d6, you got to roll your wisdom if you're doing it straight, or you can do 4d6.
Well, I'm just going to see, you mean the amount of spells I get. Right?
Exactly.
14.
So for those playing at home, first edition clerics get a wisdom bonus for the amount of spells they can learn. So typically a first level cleric in AD&D gets 1 spell. In basic, which we're going to talk about later, they don't even start with a cleric spell. But if your wisdom is high enough, you can get 2 additional first level spells.
I have a 14 wisdom.
That's sufficient to get 2 additional spells.
Okay, ready for this? Yeah. So I would have had purify food and drink.
Yeah.
Bless. And light.
Yeah, they would have beaten you down. they would have pummeled you incessantly, because
Well, so James, would you allow me as a good cleric to take cause blindness if I was in a dungeon and I was going to use it? Well, I mean, obviously I pray for it. I may get it, I may not. That, I guess, is the DM discretion. But I wouldn't view that as any sort of alignment problem if I was using it against evil creatures.
Well, first of all, who's your deity? What alignment are you? Those would be the things I would think about first.
Aphrodite.
Aphrodite. Well, she causes blindness, I think. I think.
But it's self-inflicted.
Yeah, if you go to Aphrodite's altar too much, you're going to be blind after a while. I think that's what happens. But that. I would say she'd be a little upset about that because she likes beauty. She wants people to. One of her things, if she's viewed and not, they can never attack her again. So I would probably argue in that case, maybe that would be kind of fun with Aphrodite, that the cause blindness would actually make it that if the creature fails save, they can't attack you anymore. Almost like a powerful sanctuary. Like what Aphrodite's version. If you fail your save after seeing her, you can never attack her again. So I would do a version of that. That would be kind of cool. Tying it into the deity.
Yes. I like that. A very kind of Carlos Lysing-ish, right?
Right.
And look, we've got an explanation on page 41 of the DMG.
Someone abused this? Wait a minute. Let's see.
Yep. They sure did.
Go ahead.
Gary says, this spell will not restore lost visual organs.
Ah, that's where I gotcha.
Whether such cause is due to injury or disease, which makes it great, because that means somebody in Gary's game lost an eye.
Or they were poking people's eyes out. Or, they were being tortured and they just scooped their eyes out. Yeah.
Or the party, maybe it was internal conflict. They cut the thieves' eyes out at night. Thus, at your option, the spell can simply remove magical blindness. Thus, at your option, the spell can simply remove magical blindness and cure disease or disease-like conditions such as cataracts and glaucoma and various forms of nearsightedness, farsightedness, or
astigmatisms.
Those big words for me. Astigmatisms common to human eyes. Or it can be effective against other eye disorders as well, save those as noted above. Okay, so you've got some...
so as long as you have your visual organs, it can restore it. But if your eyes or whatever the way you see gets popped out, there's nothing they can do for you.
Which brings us to... That was in the adventure, the Beholder contract.
Right.
Contracts that we talked about, right?
With Dave.
So with Dave, if you've lost your eyes, that will not return your sight.
I would say heal would fix that then at that point.
So on the disease roll, is there like an eye disorder? Like, can you get? I mean, that seems kind of boring. That you've got glaucoma. I mean, you've got.
Really? That's all I got.
What happened? I had to retire from fighting. I was blinded. Oh, what happened? What? I don't know. Do beholders cause blindness? I know that they shoot rays out of their eyes, don't they? What happened? You clawed by a red dragon? No. I got cataracts. Glaucoma.
Okay, we're going down the rabbit hole. So on page 14 of the Dungeon Master's Guide, talks about disease. I said we should just do disease. You said it was too soon, but okay, we're not going to go to total disease. But if you roll a 10 or 12 on the disease table, eyes is...
13 or 18, right? Eyes,
13, 18. I'm sorry, ears is 10 to 12.
You're right. Eye afflictions which are terminal result... there it is. Eye afflictions which are terminal result in blindness in one or both eyes.
There you go.
50-50 chance for either case. All right, so James, I need you to roll me a die 8.
Okay.
To find out the occurrence. So you're going to have an eye disorder.
Oh, 8. Oh, great. Awesome.
Seriously?
Yeah.
It's chronic.
That's right.
It's chronic.
It's a chronic issue.
Right? So that means it's not going away,
Correct.
right? Okay, and now you need to roll severity.
Yep. Let me see. 4.
Oh, look, you do get some adjustments. Well, we'll just say you have your normal stuff. All right, it is, okay, the good news is it is mild. So where mild, during the period of affliction, the character is unable to perform strenuous activities and must rest. Wait, you got to rest your eyes?
Yeah.
Some treatment must be determined by the DM to allow a shortening of the period of illness. So you have a mild, so the DM now has to figure out a mild eye illness?
Right. This is so much fun, Dungeons and Dragons. Hey, I want to go fight the... No, I'm sorry, but you have migraine headaches which cause blindness.
Yeah, those floaters.
That's right. You've got something. You've got specks from.
Yeah, you
can't see
you're
right.
at -2. You're at -2 to hit. So basically, yeah. So you got to go to the doctor, which is the cleric. So you need a cure disease, right? Cure disease will handle basically all of these, right? So you need a cure disease.
Well, so,
you don't need cure blindness on this one. I'm not blind. Will cure blindness work on this?
well, it depends. Is this a physical ailment? Is this a disease, like, or it could be a pathogen? Maybe you have like little pinworms in your eyes. You know, how gross do you want to get with this?
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of things you could do.
Yeah. All right.
It's really just how malicious and sadistic do you want to be with all this? And I've never used this table unless it's in the module that says, you know, the party's going through the dung heap of the Oktug, and or you know they're looking for stuff, and then you roll on it.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, it's not very exciting. It's not the way you want to go, obviously.
That's right.
So
all right, well, very good.
Okay.
So the only part that people have mentioned, I agree, if you were going to use this as a combat spell, is it takes 1 round to cast.
Oh wow.
So you're basically doing nothing for a round.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. That's yeah.
But
it's a touch spell, right?
Yeah.
So how long does it last? So once I cast it, how quickly do I have to touch?
well, that is a good question. I think people have asked that in the past. It's kind of like you have this, you know, like your if we were like Carlos Lysing, you know how he talks about the manifestation, like you have this glowing hands now.
Right.
I would say until you, I mean, you couldn't walk around with it for weeks, but now it's charged up. You probably have, you just walk.
Yeah, you accidentally pat somebody on the back accidentally. Oh, I forgot I hadn't used
right.
that. I can't see.
Yeah, I don't think that would work. I would say the next round that you would have a whole round to make the action. So you'd cast it, and then you'd have a round to try to strike someone.
Well, and apparently you need to be very careful not to touch
That's
yourself.
right. Hey, that's no touching, because then that's how you go blind.
You scratch your face.
That's right. Well, and we've
Right.
learned not to touch our faces anymore, so we don't want to do that.
Right. So yeah, so once you start casting that, yeah, and then so I guess, and you'd have to do it. So you know that is interesting how long it would last, because if you're in melee, I assume you'd have to do it to hit roll.
Yes.
Correct.
Right. Unless someone wants to be blinded, they have to make a hit roll.
Yeah, and so the question then really does become, if you miss on that to hit roll, yeah, does it go away? Or do you get to keep, or do you get another try at
I've
it?
always said that because again, as like we talked about, hitting, that means you've done damage. You may have hit them many times, it's just it didn't cause damage. The abstraction of armor class. The idea is that you're fighting for the round, right? You're going back and forth. And you have one opportunity to inflict damage. Doesn't mean you've... So I would say you tried, it fails, and that's it. And
Oh wait, but why wouldn't? But why? So that is interesting. I mean, you could not hit, but you could still touch.
right. Correct.
But you would say, but you think, but I mean, I think everyone says you need to hit.
Yes.
Right.
So
And so if you don't hit, you think you're done.
yes, I think you have a one shot. That's how I've always played it. And probably I've got, maybe, let's see, because I think I probably looked at Cure Light Wounds, which was one of the first spells, because you could do Cause Light Wounds. If a person is avoiding this touch, a melee combat to hit roll is determined. If the cleric's hand strikes the opponent and causes such a wound, blah, blah, blah. But it doesn't say if you miss, do you get to try it again.
Right. Okay. And that would make sense to use that rule here.
But I've always assumed that you tried and it didn't work, because then you could say that for a bunch of things, like hold person. Oh, well, basically, if there's a roll, it doesn't work, you've lost this thing. I mean, that would change the game a lot because then people would cast this and just keep it for, before you went into combat. It'd be like invisibility at this point. Everyone would have their cause light wounds ready to go before they went into combat.
But so this can be a really nasty spell, though, if you're in town.
Yeah.
You cast cause blindness, and you just walk by somebody, excuse me, you touch them, they got to make a save, and they're blind.
Yeah.
So you're like an evil cleric. You can just kind of be walking around, blinding people. And what you do is then they have to come to you, and you cure them, and you make lots of money.
Right. Well, and that's some of the folks are on there saying that would be kind of, being the charlatan. You'd go in and you'd have 2 spells memorized: cure disease and cure blindness and cause blindness. You blind people and then you cure them.
Yeah, that's why, so you really should go into a dungeon and set up shop.
Yep.
Don't you think? And you have a bunch of cure light wound spells and all that, don't you think?
Yeah.
You should have a little shop there.
Well, and I forgot which module you had us play with the magic user who had his magic shop, which I thought was absolutely ridiculous because it reminded me of those old games from the 80s where you'd go find, Bob the Magic Shop would be in the middle of the dungeon. I'm like, why aren't the monsters killing you? But I guess...
Yes, it was the Treasure of Bartolom, I believe. Yeah. Right? It was the guy, he had set up shop in the dungeon.
Right.
It was the one where, in the prior adventure, you'd been given Fred the fish, and it drove you thought it was awesome, and then drove you crazy, and you threw it out. And then he had something else for you, and your son didn't want it because of what he experienced with Fred the fish, and it actually was like a pretty amazing...
Yeah, I don't want that. I don't want no more of that craziness.
Was that the one with the broom too? I think he picked up the broom and the broom attaches but yeah, I mean that was I believe Treasure Barn was like a late 70s, maybe early 80s.
Right.
But yeah, that's the kind of zaniness that you had back then.
Right, just kind of random stuff. So, all right, well, very good. Cure blindness, very simple, but a lot of application, I think, at this point. All right, let's see. So we have... Ready for Have You Ever Been a Gnome Illusionist? So this is the part of our before we get out of the pandemic, we want to finish this adventure. So we are in First Encounter magazine, episode module. Which one? 6, 4? Which one is that?
This is number 4.
Number 4, and artwork by
Eric Haas.
Right, who we had on one of our episodes, him and Kelly Villamere. And so this is you are playing the gnome illusionist fighter, trying to defeat the evil guy who killed the cleric, and there's a crazy clay golem, if I remember correctly.
Yes, because Cedric becomes overloaded with his work and creates a clay golem to assist him. Because of people's trust in Cedric, they soon grew accustomed to his fear of clay. All was fine until an evil illusionist named Maximius.
Maximius, that's right.
Because if you recall, that was also Maximius was in Lair Medusa after the same one.
Maximius, that's right, exactly.
Maximius, right, not Maximus. Maximius infiltrated the cleric's abode, killing Cedric in his sleep and gaining control of the golem, which he used to rape and pillage the village. Wow, sounds like what's Vaprak.
Vaprak, the destroyer.
Very Vaprak-like. They're sending out hunting parties to seek out Maximius' new nearby home in order to destroy the golem. So, that's right. One party managed to return with great success, bringing with them the dead body of Maximius, along with many bodies of men from the party who died fighting the golem. Garth, the leader of the party, told the villagers that the lair is filled with many false illusions created by Maximius, but the golem still inhabits the building and kills any living thing that it comes across. The only way to destroy the golem is not by having a large party, but by what? That's often the setup for the adventures, right? Explaining why an army just simply hasn't been sent in there, right? I keep on the borderlands. Why didn't you just send in the entire army? Maximius is dead. We've got his body, but we got to get rid of this golem, which is wreaking havoc. So, if I recall correctly, last time we had James took 39 points of damage.
It was not 39.
It wasn't
I
39?
recall 17.
Okay.
And, it's only and why did I take 17 points of damage?
Because you didn't realize that I've become you. And see, you really have become
Right.
me. We really have switched. You took it because I was going with the lightning, and you figured I must be wrong because I'm a terrible player. But you didn't realize we're switching.
Yeah.
You're me.
Exactly.
How's it feel? Okay. So we encountered Grey
If
Ooze.
this is blissfully ignorant, is that how you feel? Because that's how I feel at this point.
The good news is, are you happy?
I feel pretty happy being not knowing what the hell's going on. That's right.
It's nice, right? And the great thing about it is, people just come to accept that that's the way you are, and they're not unhappy with it. Like, oh, that's James.
Here he is again. Clearly, no idea. Really? That's how it works? Okay.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
50 years in counting, my friend.
Exactly.
2 more to go. Okay. After escaping the Grey Ooze, you reach a room about 30 by 30 feet. There is a door at either end of it. There you decide to rest for a bit. We know you need to rest, James. To recover your strength and to clear your mind of how to get rid of the golem. As you sit and think, you hear a strange rumbling coming towards your room. Suddenly you see a huge claw rip through the wall in front of you. You see it is an Umber Hulk. With only seconds before it is through the wall, you know you won't be able to open a door and escape in time, so you decide to, and the number of choices is going to be 10. Choice number 1, change self into human form and walk up to it, talking to it in burrowing animal, making sure to avert its eyes. 2, use Ring of Lightning on it, then attack it with short sword, averting its eyes. 3, cast Dispel Illusion or use Scroll of Same Spell on this obvious illusion, then walk by with a dagger in hand, just in case. 4, use Staff of Fear on it. If it fails attack with mace, use Staff of Fear on it. If it fails attack, if it fails, attack it with mace, averting its eyes. 5, cast Blur Spell, then attack it immediately with sword, averting its eyes. 6, cast Improved Phantasmal Force of walls and ceiling falling on it, then run past it through exit with dagger in hand. 7, cast Invisibility, then walk past it slowly, averting its eyes with dagger in hand. 8, cast Color Spray on it, then attack it with sword. 9, cast Color Spray, then attack it with mace. 10, cast Suggestion that it leave or be harmed, talking to it calmly and burrowing animal, having sword handy in case this play fails. Now, I'm pretty sure it's burrowing mammal.
Do 10. You have to do 10. Come on.
No,
you're not. You're becoming me now. That's not fair.
I am becoming you.
They want you to talk. Parlay. That's what you're supposed to do. 10. You must do 10.
Parlay. So now we're going to have a conversation of whether an Umber Hulk is a mammal. You have to have live babies? Is that what it is? What makes you a mammal? Live babies,
I think so. That's right. Live babies and mammaries, I assume. I don't know. You'll have to feel up the Umber Hulk to figure out. You have to do it.
Is it wearing a bra?
Exactly. You got to do 10. It's disgust. You've got to talk to it. Come on, Dan.
You do 10.
No.
You're me. You're me. I'm doing 2. I'm using Ring of Lightning on it, man. It could be an illusion.
Right.
This guy was an illusionist, obviously, right?
See.
Obviously.
So Rob Ritchie's down for 7.
What does Rob Ritchie do? Cast Invisibility. I liked
Monk
that idea
is Dispel Illusion.
Oh, I liked that idea too.
These are good ones.
I'm doing
Brian's
2,
going with 2. Ring of Lightning.
Oh, I like Brian's style.
Which one's Avert Gaze? Minion wants to know.
So there's a lot of them that you're averting your eyes. There's one was change self into human form, walk up to it, talk to it, bring animal, avert its eyes. 2 is lightning on it, avert its eyes. Let me see. 4 was Staff of Fear on it, and if it fails, attack with mace, avert its eyes. I assume averting its eyes, meaning you're not looking at
Correct,
it.
Yeah.
You're averting your eyes.
Right.
5 is Blur Spell, and attack, averting eyes. Let me see. And 7 is Invisibility, and avert eyes. 8, That was the only averting eyes ones.
Okay, 8. Oh, those are the ones that were averting eyes. So 2. Minion's going with 2, like Brian.
Like me.
And you. Oh, so Dan is going for that. I'm going for 10. Of course I'm going for 10. I'm you.
All right.
Hold on, and let's see.
Oh.
David Thompson's for Improved Phantasmal Force, which I think is 6.
I like that
and actually, David wants to throw some gems to distract it, which I think that
he's gonna have to call up Kelly.
That's right.
And ask if he can change that. It does not appear to be an
Cyber
option.
Heston has changed self, which I think is 1, right?
It is 1, correct.
All right. That's what we got.
Okay, here we go. Number 1, change self into human form and walk up to it, talking to it, and burying animal.
That's almost as good as 10. I
like the first line. I don't know how this is going to finish, but the first 4 words say, "This creature eats humans," and tries to eat you. Take out sword for defense. 22 hit points of damage before killing it. This is not good. And just to remember, if you're keeping track of your hit points at home, you started
like 50, right?
with
50.
Why do I always have so much trouble finding the hit points?
Yeah, it's hard to see if I remember from what you showed me.
Yeah, God knows where it is. I can't even. Warren Grinchmore. Now he does have food, torches, and belladonna.
Nice.
We didn't mention that. Yeah, I have no idea how many hit points he has.
Why
would not 9?
I think you said it's like 37, 57. I don't remember. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, no, because it's we need to move on. So it's not good that I can't. Find. There it is. Oh, it's all the way at the very end. 50.
50. There you go.
50.
So, so if you played like me and you just did that one, you've lost most of your hit points. Okay, keep going. Number 2.
Okay, there's a lot of us with this one. Lightning does damage. In melee with sword, we take 12 hit points of damage. Boo! I swear to God, I'd be so angry if your parlay nonsense works. We're ringing up Kelly on Skype immediately. I still have a beef about that porcupine business, which I believe is a brilliant mammal. 3, cast Dispel Illusion. All right, so let's see how this works. Did anyone have 3?
Yes,
Dispel Illusion?
we had 3.
Ooh, this real creature delivers 34 hit points of damage.
Oh my goodness.
That was a surprise.
I think 4 is probably pretty good. Fear, that may work.
You staff a fear on it. Okay. It doesn't work, unfortunately. Why wouldn't it work?
Probably failed.
You staff a fear.
Probably made a save. Probably made a save.
Okay. Sorry. 25 hit points of damage.
Wow.
Man, Kelly was grumpy when he wrote this one. Wasn't he? He was in a bad mood. Okay. 5, Blur Spell. Blur helps. Take only 17 hit points of damage. All right. Who did 6? The Improved Phantasmal
David Thompson.
Force. The Chamberlain. It works. Take no damage.
There you go. Number 6. Congratulations.
Yes. 7, Invisibility. It works. No damage.
Rob Ritchie, that's it. That's how, see, the oldest of us, I think, and that's not pejorative. The people who've played a long time.
The old
no
guard.
one took 8 or 9, because I think we're smart enough to realize that.
Well, you know what? Kelly says this blinds the creature.
Oh, okay.
Is that how color spray works?
Well,
I thought it either it knocks you out or it doesn't knock you out.
No, it depends on the and that's why it's a confusing spell. It depends on the level difference between you and the illusionist and the target.
Okay. Because this says it blinds the creature, you kill it, and take only 12 hit points of damage.
Okay.
And G9, which was this color spray but with the mace instead of the sword, was same as G8, except you take 15 hit points of damage. So those weren't too bad. So Kelly kind of liked color spray on that one.
All right, number 10.
Okay, number 10. This is Suggestion. This is you. I like the first 2 words. The first two words are nice try. What could be the next word? But? Yes, it is. But it doesn't work. Doesn't understand language. Take 20 hit points of damage.
Yeah.
So you're at like 37, aren't you? Hit points of damage. You're down to 13.
That's it, down 13. Awesome.
Okay.
Because my goal at this point is to die quick. I want to be out of this as quickly as possible. So,
All right.
well,
So
so
there it is.
congratulations. So we've Umber Hulps. We improved Phantasmal Force worked. That's great, and Invisibility, which says a lot about Kelly as a DM because he allowed that improved Phantasmal Force to do it. A lot of them would be sad. So.
Yeah, Kelly's apparently an illusionist-friendly DM.
Hello, Isaac. Yes, we just finished our first encounter. What would an illusionist fighter do? How to play one, right? That's what we just did.
Yes. Have you ever played a gnome illusionist fighter?
So how much?
Which I
how
have
much
not.
damage did you take? Which one did you do?
What did I take?
Which one did you do? You took 2. Ring of Lightning. You did number 2.
12 hit points of damage.
So I only took 8 more for playing my character properly, which is, come here, little Umber Hulk. Come here, let's talk. I love you too. See?
Would you like some nuts?
Would you like some? Would you
Yeah.
like some gems?
Yes, I would.
That's right. I'll take yours.
I'll take those jewels.
That's right. I'll take out of your stomach I'll just eat you whole and we'll figure it out. So excellent. Okay, well. So we were now ready for Dragon 36, which was our. It is April. We talked about this a little bit in last week or the week before, because it is April 1980, and so we have now pulled open our brand new Dragon Magazine episode 36.
40 years ago today.
40 years ago today, we would have been ripping this open and. We would have seen from Tim Kask, who we had last week. We would be reading his introduction.
And I just like to mention something that's interesting. I think this is going to be his last introduction. I think in the May issue, they're going to announce that he's left. And as you'll notice, he's no longer editor. I believe the last one he edited was 33.
Right.
Because if you look on the right there, it's Jake Jaquette is now who Tim brought over from knowing him from Southern Illinois University. So it's interesting, right? I mean, we didn't really go into it. It's interesting to know what happened because obviously this happened in 2 stages. It sounds like first, Tim was not going to be the editor anymore. I think he had written that he had so much work to do.
Right.
But then as he said, he's pushed out. Brian Bloom and him had a conflict, and so. But it is interesting, right? That so he does do this last sort of introduction. I guess he doesn't know when he writes this.
Sure.
That he's
well, and probably they do it ahead of time too. So
Yes, right. That's probably right as well. So, okay. So, what do you think of the cover?
It's all right. I mean,
yeah, I agree.
What for those who can't see, there's like a statue magic user transforming from being a statue and a Conan-like fighter's look staring at him. And
I really like and I don't know if it's just because I remember them from back in the day, because I'm not sure if I was playing D&D at this point. I really had just started, and I didn't know anything about Dragon Magazine, to be sure. I really like the ones that are going to come up in the early '80s.
Right.
So yeah, I've not been in love with, and look, it's obviously it's a matter of taste, but those are the ones I really like.
This had that. All these kind of reminded me of the Lord of the Rings, 70s style fantasy look to it. I don't know. I'm sure there's a better art word for it, which I liked, like you, the more the early '80s version. I'm sure there's a style that was influenced by it, but it's kind of drab and it's meh. So anyway, it was okay.
It seems like it's still kind of 70s.
Right. It's still stuck in the 70s.
We like the 80s, a lot of color and right.
Exactly.
So, did you have those shorts we had the plaid shorts with like the pastel colors? Do you remember that? And the Vans.
I didn't wear any of that.
Oh no, me neither. I mean, I just heard other people did.
Yeah. Okay. So actually, the Angry Monk gave us it's the side of a van art. That's what it looks like. Like that would be on the side of. That's exactly right.
Yes.
That's exactly right.
That is exactly correct.
Yeah.
What I thought was interesting too is, we learned from Tim last episode how
Hold on. Keep
Dragon,
talking.
how TSR Publishing did their own thing, and that Dragon was not meant to be a house organ, so to speak.
Right.
And so, as you'll see, SPI, here is an advertisement on page 3 for Dragon Slayer coming from SPI this June. So they're carrying advertisements for competing games, which I thought I assume it's a competing game. I mean, it's SPI, it's not TSR.
Right.
So I thought that was interesting.
Here, hold on. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give people, while we're jibber jabbering, so they can see what we're. Keep going.
Okay, yeah. So I thought out on a limb, really nothing very exciting there. Let me see. So what the Cube and Beyond is, I never liked. Well, I shouldn't say I didn't like because I didn't read it. Not a big fan of the fiction. I mean, it's just something I wasn't interested in. I can't say it wasn't good, but so we have A Tale by Gardner Fox. So I, back in the day and including now, I would not have read it.
Right.
I did.
Go ahead.
No, were you going to talk about fiction?
Yeah, I just never read it. I didn't care. I don't know, as a young, and that's probably has not served me well because I wasn't a voracious reader. I spent my time reading the DMG. That's what I read, and
Yeah.
the books, the rule books. I wasn't as interested in that, and I think that's been to my detriment, unfortunately.
Same here. So back in the day, I was not reading Fritz Leiber. I wasn't reading, Elric of Melniboné. I loved Lord of the Rings, and that was it.
Yeah.
I didn't know. So Steve Jackson here,
Right.
of course, Games Workshop. I assume it's that Steve Jackson. It's come out with a game called Stellar Conquest. I'd never heard of it. Have you ever heard of this game?
Never.
I hadn't either.
So
that was
just FYI, I'm showing the screen of the Dragon magazine to our folks so they can play along at home. So they're seeing it as well. But yeah, that's interesting. It looks like a Traveller kind of thing, which again they had Traveller. So, and again, I love Traveller, but it's I don't know why they need multiple ones. Okay, moving on.
So we have an article about younger players. I would not have been.
Oh, I'm on page 8.
Okay. Sorry,
Up
I
on
was
the
up to page.
soapbox. So what is that about?
So I think it was about younger players.
Okay, yeah, right.
Which
we were
getting into the game.
We were there at the time.
Yeah. So talking about people 14. That was us at the time. I mean, I was 12.
Right.
At the time. So I wonder how people, really. I didn't know anyone older who played. I don't think so. I didn't have anyone. Did they look down on us?
I think so.
At the time?
I think so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I gotta tell you, I think at the time I may have looked down on them. Only because I'd have been like, I don't know. I don't know if I assumed I'd be playing D&D forever or I would give it up. It was a kid's game. I don't know. I think I probably assumed it was a kid's game. I mean, I knew Gary was probably older, but he was a deity, so that was okay. So we older DMs didn't have D&D when we were that age. The generation that follows us does. They will learn from us if we dare teach. Yeah, I did not learn. Did you ever play with anyone who was older?
No. Hold on. Attic Press just text me. Not text me, instant message me.
Is it a cease and desist letter?
No, it's Jim Dees, who is going to be our guest today.
Oh, great. Boy, he's up early because he's 3 hours behind.
We see you around 9:50 a.m. Eastern Standard.
All right.
Sorry about that.
And no, I'll keep going. So we've got, Gary does some stats for Conan because, he loves Conan. We know that.
Right.
That was, I think, he's buying Conan books.
This was actually pretty interesting because even back then I knew of Conan. There was, the comics and those type of things, and just having the idea of, and what was interesting about this one was that, there is the rules about aging and how that affects your strength, and he kind of incorporates them in there, but the fact that he's still, but what I thought was really interesting was that his fighter levels would decrease over time. And his thief skills. It wasn't just his attributes. His actual skill diminished, which we typically didn't see. I don't know if there's a rule for that.
Well, and that shows you that it looks like Gary was not necessarily hewing always precisely to the rules. So yeah, I didn't check these stats to see if the adjustments conform to the age modifiers. I've always felt the age modifiers were a little. They should have been tougher on things like losing charisma as you get older and strength as you get older. What I also think is interesting is, and as you note, he loses levels, which I thought was very interesting. And he also switches alignment.
Yeah.
Right? He goes from chaotic neutral to chaotic good, which I think is interesting. I think you should be able to change alignment as a player. I mean, under DM supervision, right? So, I like kind of throwing out the rules.
Well, that's obvious.
If you do it carefully. Yeah, it's obvious, right? So, all right, so we do the sage advice, because I always like the sage advice.
Let's get the sage advice.
Gene Wells still doing it. So must all characters that can use magic record their spells on books or scrolls in order to remember them. I always wondered if these people didn't have, why are they writing in? Do they not have the DMG? I mean,
right.
This is a pretty standard answer, isn't it? Yes, if you are an illusionist or a magic user. No, if you're a cleric or a druid. Is this new information?
Right. I think it can be confusing apparently, and back to that previous article, we didn't have adults who played. Our parents didn't play. I had an older brother, but he didn't care about it. So pretty much it was my peer group that played. So we didn't really have an authority figure to kind of figure it out. So it really was, you're not any smarter than me. How dare you come up with this? So really, these sage advice really was. You could easily get wrapped up into things that would be pretty obvious if you didn't have an obstinate friend who'd be like, "No, you don't have to do that." So, I definitely think it's some of the things that are obvious even to us apparently wasn't obvious to a bunch of people.
Yeah, right. No, I understand, and I like that. So, can a paladin put someone to death if the victim is severely scarred and doesn't want to live? And Gene Wells, in bold with an exclamation point, says absolutely not. So Paladin would try to find a reason for the person to live. If not with the world, then shut away doing religious work where those who benefit from the aid would not care what he looks like. The Paladin would also do all that he could to see that the character did not succeed in taking his own life. So again, showing how tough it is to be a Paladin.
Yeah, he's part of the suicide hotline. You're not going to him to finish you off, kind of thing.
Right now. And I like the next one. I thought was interesting. 12th level paladin. I want to start a lineage. Is this possible? Can my paladin get married?
Right.
And Gene Wells was interesting. Says most believe that paladins practice celibacy.
Yeah.
And Gene Wells firmly upholds this belief. She has a paladin, Guinevere, will not get married. It's a personal decision though, and based on the DM. So I thought that was interesting. Before reading this, I had not thought about that, because that makes him very kind of monk-like, right?
And we talked about that during our paladin things, how the different, kind of archetypes that we've come up with, the Galahad, kind of the Arthurian Knight version of it, or the Templar kind of almost a bloodletting, kill all the infidels, repent or die kind of thing. So we had that conversation, which was pretty good. So you can go look at that.
Right. And we know magic users, they get their spells from their master in their first level book.
But it does confirm that his mentor puts it in via right spell, which is a very expensive process, by the way, because you need ink of a certain cost.
Which is why that she found herself cleaning up after this magic user's young black dragon twice a week in return for, this is in return for a book of third level spells. Now that was interesting. So that DM was that Gary, I don't know who that was. So it was kind of nice there, right? Allowed a book of third level spells. Yeah. It came with all the spells, and that's awesome. Right. In exchange for cleaning up the dragon.
I would easily do that.
Guano. Yeah, heck yeah. Demi-humans can be sages.
Well, why can't they be? Oh, they can't. He says, why
Exactly.
can't they? And he says they can. Okay.
And they can, exactly.
Yep.
And then we know that, so if your wand goes to 0,
That's good.
don't let your wand die, right? Because then it can't be recharged. But anytime before that, it can. And she says one major problem with such items is that one is never sure how many charges they have. I thought you can use, can't you use a spell to determine the number of charges?
Well, identify, if you remember, we talked about, gives you a range of it. It never gives you the exact amount. Now, I think you could probably wish to figure it out, how many charges. You could potentially use legend lore or contact other plane. That really is up to the DM to decide how specific you want it to be. Well, that is true. No one likes a dead wand. Yeah, that is see, we have some funny people out there. That's pretty funny.
You didn't recharge it before leaving? What? I forgot my charger.
No. This never happens. I don't know what you're talking about. That's never happened to me before. Normally
I see where you're going. Okay.
There you go.
We're going back to the Valentine's special.
And to the cure blindness. There you go. Anyway, moving on.
So, if you keep using your ring invisibility, will you slowly become invisible forever? So, basically, someone's been reading The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings. And she says, my stars, no. I like how she says that would make it too powerful. Like, this is a good thing. I don't know that it's a good thing, is it? I think it's a curse. But no, it will not.
Yep.
If a party comes across a magic item, should one tell them it is magic? Would it feel magical? Only tell the party that something is magic if they throw a detect magic spell on it. The only other way to find out is to pick it up and try it out. That might be dangerous, but that's the way it goes sometimes. Never tell them, oh, gee, it feels like a +2 sword. Make them work to find out what it is. Never just give anything away. You can do that. It gets old, I think, after a while.
My God. It's on the top 5 things that players hate. Level drain, encumbrance, which if you play that, counting money, experience points and training, and magic items. We see a sword. You get it. Well, is it magical? You don't know. Okay, I pick it up. Well, you think it feels weird.
Well,
yeah.
When it's glowing.
Yeah. Now I've ruled it. It's not glowing until you pick it up, and because it's in the scabbard. Okay. So typically. That doesn't have to be, but.
But so usually, if you take it out, it'll glow.
Yes,
so that'll
tell you. But by then you've been hit with, because it's a different alignment, and you've taken 12 points of damage and you're dead. So it doesn't matter.
You should have parlayed.
That's right.
So we have a bit of trouble. Last week, a lawful good ranger was in our party, and we came across a wounded wyvern. Is a wyvern evil?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. He and the DM said he had to protect it from the rest of the party until it attacked him.
What is wyvern, is wyvern evil or they're neutral? I forgot. Let me see.
Why is
they're evil. They're neutral / evil.
The what? I'm having the ranger should cut its throat.
Yeah, dead.
Shouldn't it? Oh, neutral with a parenthesis. Oh, parentheses evil.
Okay.
Right? Where are you getting evil from? I see alignment neutral.
Parentheses evil. To me, that's evil.
That to me is evil tendencies.
Okay.
That thing's what's it carrying?
Looks like a boar or horse or something like that. Yeah.
A ranger.
A ranger. The ranger's horse.
Exactly.
So actually, someone asked in first edition D&D, rangers had to be good.
Correct.
Any good.
And this is a lawful good. And the question says, this was a lawful good ranger.
Yes.
But lawful good isn't. Yeah, but rangers. Gene Wells or somebody says somewhere else that they're quite bloodthirsty in terms of killing evil. They're protecting the border.
Right.
If this wyvern is a danger to the countryside, I don't know. I mean, obviously a matter of opinion.
Right.
I know, James, if you were playing the lawful good ranger, you would cut his throat, wouldn't you?
Yeah. To me, it's an evil creature that attacks and kills.
I'm just kind of evil.
That's right. I'm only
parentheses.
parenthetically evil. I'm not.
Yes.
I'm not a full evil.
right?
Well, that's
I can be redeemed.
well, like the rat has the same thing. I think the rat is neutral with evil tendencies. We wouldn't have any.
Oh, really?
I'm 99% positive.
What's that all about? Can
Yeah.
can animal intelligence be? Wait, where do you see that? Oh, rat. I was looking at Ray. Oh my gosh, you're right.
Does anyone have any problem killing a rat? No, they totally off it. They'd be like, die. They wouldn't be sitting there and trying to figure it out.
Oh, giant rats are above animal intelligence. They're semi.
Yeah.
So that's why they're evil.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. I didn't know that. So I've learned something. So giant rats are not just sort of like, out for themselves, kind of scared. I mean, I know they're scared of fire or whatever, and they generally don't like to attack, but they got that parentheses
That's
evil.
Right, parenthetically evil.
Parenthetically evil. Okay. You should do a book on the monsters that are parenthetically evil.
The Tome of Parenthetically Evil Monsters?
Yes. And the title will be in parentheses.
The Tome of Evil Monsters. That's right. I love it.
Yes. Right. Along with your, what was it?
Rules
footnote.
AF. Rules, asterisks, and footnotes. Which I would totally do, but I think it's a copyright infringement. I got to find out how I can publish that without getting it.
Okay. No, what you need to do is you need to write a textbook dealing with it where you analyze it.
I see.
And that'll get you into fair use, that you're actually doing an analysis.
See, this is why you're on here.
Exactly.
So this would be the first edition of analysis of the first edition AD&D rules. A comprehensive study of the first edition rules, asterisks, and footnotes.
You should actually, and I think if you put fair use in the title, that helps. So you should put a fair use analysis.
Fair use. And this, obviously, you're not giving official legal opinion, right?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I am not.
And this may not, this is not legal opinion and may not be in your local jurisdiction. You may need to check locally, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, can you make sure to have that crawl appear on our YouTube video?
Which one?
Dan is not a real lawyer. He's only a D&D lawyer.
That's right. He's just a rules lawyer.
He plays one in his local campaign.
All right, so
I'm a rules lawyer.
I love it. So that's okay. Well, that's great news. Now maybe I'll do the Kickstarter for the textbook on analyzing rules AF. That's perfect.
Yep, and then the parenthetical evil.
Parenthetical evil. Yep.
A guidebook to parenthetical evil.
It. I love a guidebook. Perfect. Got a lot of work to do. I hope this pandemic lasts for another 8 or 9 months because I won't get it done then. All right.
Yeah, that's right.
So I don't have an issue with it. I totally would kill the wyvern.
Okay.
But the part that I did like that Gene says is, look, it doesn't matter what you think. It matters what the DM thinks. If the DM, because if you're going to use alignment, if sometime the DM has to be the bad guy. Unless you have super great players who are going to really use the alignment as a way to flavor their character, and they're going to break alignment. The paladin is going to do something expeditious because that's everyone's a power gamer at heart at some point.
Okay, well, let me give you an example. So when I was at a game at a convention at CarryCon, so I was playing a lawful good cleric, and the party came upon a stone giant who was neutral.
They're neutral, correct.
And I was given some grief about so some party members wanted to just go up and kill the stone giant and steal his stuff. And I objected because I was a lawful good cleric. So a lawful good cleric, maybe we've had this conversation before. I mean, are stone giants a menace? I mean, I don't know, right? So should a lawful good cleric go up and kill a stone giant?
No.
Okay, you think no, because they're neutral.
Correct.
Okay, that was sort of my thought. It seemed kind of...
Well, when we played against the giants, and again, this is when it's nice to have players who understand the difference. Yeah, and again, in the giant series, all the giants are together. And you can't just murder them all because there was actually cloud giants in the Steading of the Hill giant. There's a storm giant that's captured. Just because they're all giants doesn't mean you all just totally kill them. And the stone giants tended to be workers. They were this. That was the classic. You killed the contractors on the Death Star. Hey, I'm just here to work.
Right. Exactly.
So now again, they did attack, but if you try to parlay, they would stop. If you weren't, but if they attack you, that's when it gets a little murkier. Do you have to, constantly try to parlay with them if they're throwing these giant stones at you and trying to kill you? That's a little bit.
Then I think it's game on.
But if they surrender, you have to. Because what I would do is, of course, the giants would surrender if they were being overpowered. They'd be like, "Hey, wait a minute, sorry, we thought you were trying to kill us," and then you're back to your conundrum that you had. Go ahead, keep going.
Okay, so I'm going to skip ahead to. I think the next one.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. Lehman's Tiny Hut by Len Lakofka. I liked this one. So this was how to make a pantheon you can have faith in. He's complaining, as we see a lot of complaints in this era, about the high-level characters, right? People becoming deities, slaying deities. I think he made He sound like a Jim Ward article he makes a reference to. I liked how, so he talks about how spells might not work as well in different planes, that it's not going to be so easy to deal with deities in their planes. But I know there's rules like that on the Demon Web kits, right?
The whole pages and pages of it.
Right. So I liked that. I mean, again, I don't know why you're dealing with deities like that, but so I liked some of these ideas.
Hold on. Hey, Dan, show your shirt to people. People can't see your...
Oh. Is that better?
It's I believe in Tom Bombadil. It just he can't go away from it.
I got James to say it. That's the soundbite. You got to put that.
I believe in.
You got to put along with the Tim Kask one. You got to also have that one.
This is Tim Kask, and you're listening to Grog Talk. I believe in Tom Bombadil. That's right.
We should have had Jim Ward say that. We got to get him back on.
I still do not own the Fellowship of the Ring. I'm going to look for one that's an abridged version that has that whole section taken out. You know, like Jefferson's Bible, where he took out everything except what Christ said. I want the one that doesn't have Tom Bombadil in it. There you go.
Oh gosh.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So yeah. So I liked Len Lakofka's.
Yes, this is good.
Article. Yeah. That was good.
But it's one of the challenges with high-level play. And so what happens is you get high-level players, whether they've been accelerated, they have world-breaking spells, and you have to nerf them. And that's what happened in Demon Web Pits. You know, it's a mechanical way to fix the challenges of high-level play. And that's why most D&D, it's really hard to play. Because you get into a superheroes game, which again, some people love that, which is fine, but the gameplay changes tremendously if you have 15th level, 20th level players.
Right. And it looks like, there's a 36.5. I assume, is this because the April Fool's edition?
That is correct.
Okay. Because it started over again, $250, and it's the dragon. So this is all the joke stuff. It's right. The dragon grumbles,
right,
instead of rumbles.
Exactly.
And they ask who is right about whether or not rules in the dragon are official or not. And it's signed Billy and Bobby. And they say who's right. And the editor says Billy is, but we don't know which position.
It was cute. You know.
It was cute. I mean, obviously they're not official. So I know they're just joking around out there. But we're going to see that later, I believe, somewhere. They're not... official. Let me see. So a lot of this was just joke stuff, which the only thing I really liked about the joke stuff was, and I actually do want to use this, is I did like the Keebler. It's Roger Moore, which doesn't surprise me. Anything Roger Moore touches to me is gold. And so I did like I know it's ridiculous, right? I get it. But for some reason, I just kind of like the Keebler because he's like, he bakes stuff and he's got all these baking spells, and he will capture you and make you work for him as a baking assistant. So yeah, and look, and anyone who's friends with small children and woodland animals is good for me. So yeah, I like the Keebler. The Taxman cometh. No. Yeah, you can't. I clearly is. Yeah. First, we're gonna have you roll for disease.
Yep.
Then we're going to have, and then the next, so every week when we get together, first we're going to roll for disease in my campaign, and then we're going to have the Taxman cometh.
Well, and I think you're the one, and I know John's done it, DM John who plays with, the month ends and everyone has to take 100 gold pieces per level for maintenance.
Yeah.
That's right.
I do that, because that is per the DMG. That's right, and you really should be rolling for disease too. I mean, I guess some of that stuff makes it seem more realistic. I don't know that I want the tax man come. Maybe, you know, I don't know. I guess he could do it. Some stuff's just not going to go over very well. The bizarre of the ordinary, right? So, you know, I was, you know, the joke stuff doesn't really do a lot.
I like the, you know, and I think this one is interesting on page 28, only because of Stranger Things, meeting Demogorgon, last great acts of defiance and cowardice. Which I find that pretty funny. From you know, basically, you know, what do you say just before Demogorgon destroys you? Who calls upon Demogorgon, Prince of Demons, ruler of the Abyssal, the invincible horror? And then you have, I guess you need a roll, but it's not 1 to 30.
Oh, so what is it?
Well, it's missing a couple. It's close, like so 27's not on there, but yeah, you could do a D30. So roll a D30.
Oh yeah, so if you mention the name, who are you not supposed to mention? I thought that was devils, or is it demons' names? Who are you not supposed to mention?
Well, it says, imagine you're on an adventure, everyone in the party is feeling mellow, and you've had a good adventure, your pockets are crammed with gems, you happen to be joking around, and carelessly mention the name of a greater demon. And everyone gives you an eye that you should write. Your party walks around the bend, and there he is. Now, yeah, they have secret names, but because that's how you...
Oh, that's how you can control
right.
them. If you know their name. Is that right? Okay.
So what'd you roll?
Okay, I rolled a 28.
28. Try to knock him down and step on his throat. Okay.
Yeah, that's not good.
Well, what's interesting, Demogorgon, he has 2 throats, so, because he has 2 heads.
Okay, you know what maybe we should do? All right, I'm warming up to this.
Okay.
I'm wondering if we consider having a segment each week, because we need more, a meeting Demogorgon segment, and you will roll and we'll play it out. It'll be like our incomprehensible death. We don't have time to do it today, but I think we need to consider having you know, a couple sessions maybe of meeting Demogorgon. Don't you think?
Yes, I think that would be great.
All right, so you know, listen, I stand corrected. I thought that the joke edition, the 36 and a half, wasn't going to be very good, and we've gotten something out of that. Meeting Demogorgon.
That's right. I love it. I love it. I think we need to do a reaction roll too.
Parlay. Well, we rolled parlay, so surprise. We're probably surprised. All right, was there anything else in the
fake version? Nah, not really.
In the fake version. Yeah.
Yeah, they did talk about the Mongols. I probably would read this just if I wanted some flavor. I'm on page 31. You know, the different types of weapons. You know, again, I think that is a fair, I don't want to say criticism, but, you know, it's very Eurocentric. And they started on Greyhawk. There's different lands that you could put in. And I did like the Pharaoh and the Desert of Desolation series, which had the, you know, Egyptian theme. So that would be pretty cool. I thought that was interesting to put in.
And so does 36 and a half end? No, I guess it doesn't.
It's hard to figure out where it ends. So then they have Giants in the Earth, classical heroes from fiction and literature, page 36. And then they kind of go through that, which again, I didn't read any of this, so I probably would have skipped. Squad Leader. Did you ever play Squad Leader on page 38?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I played it with Ed, and I learned a very important lesson. Don't stack a bunch of people if you're within artillery range, because I had a big old stack of units, and they all got obliterated because there was such density. So yes, so I'm familiar. Did you ever play Squad Leader?
Panzer Leader I played.
Yeah, Squad Leader's very different because it's much, you know, it's just squads. So it's kind of cool though. You'd have counters with just, you know, like you could have a single hero, a single guy, but they were obviously mainly squads. But yeah, no, it was a fun game.
So now experience points to ponder, page 40. Did you read this article?
I skimmed it a bit, and actually we're having, and maybe we'll delve into it more next week, because we're having Bill Fawcett is our guest.
So that's pretty exciting. That's why I wanted to bring it up.
I tend not to. I tend not to. A lot of people seem to. Didn't I think? I can't remember if Len Lakofka had
Yep.
one in addition. Yeah, I tend not to worry so much about. I mean, I don't have a big problem with the experience point system in the DMG. I take what Gary tells me to be
Right.
correct, which is he understands it's not perfect. It's just a method for advancement. And I don't. So I don't know. So I usually don't pay a lot of attention to these because I don't have a problem with the way it is in the DMG. How about you?
Yeah, I didn't have an issue with it. I would probably look at it now that I feel like I know enough about the game to tweak it to my liking, but I really didn't want to do that back in the day.
Yeah, and like I said, I don't even think it needs tweaking, but I don't know. So,
well, for me, the tweaking comes. I hate, like we've talked about, at 11 o'clock, you've played 5 hours, and now you're playing accountant with Excel spreadsheet. How you...
And you really do, yeah. And I think you do need to do that, though, because no one wants to start off the next adventure with going through, because then, going through experience points, people are leveling up, it takes forever. Yeah. But yeah, that experience points is not a lot of fun, to be sure. Right. A lot of the rest of the stuff, I know we had some letters, the mail, complaining about the Monty Hall, as you may have remembered.
Yep, on page 44 they talk about Boot Hill again and different weapons that you could add to it, which I guess is okay. I wasn't a big cross guy.
I wasn't either. No, I wasn't either.
Scrolling through. Now this is the back end of the magazine where all the other articles we just talked about are put together. I really don't see anything else. More of the mail. Let's see, is there anyone interesting?
There's a convention coming called Bloody Sunday.
Wow, it's Bloody Sunday 80.
Right? Yeah, was that before? I mean, Bloody Sunday, like Ireland, because that's a strange title. Bloody Sunday 80.
Yeah, and that was in Ontario. Interesting. Rides needed, rides offered. That's a little creepy. If you're looking for a ride or offer a ride, drop a ride to rides at TSR. State the convention you're interested in, your name and address with other pertinent information.
It was a different. It was a simpler time, wasn't it?
So I'm going to Gen Con 80 from Vermont and can take 3 riders from the Vermont or the Adirondacks in exchange for help with gas and tolls. Could you imagine putting that on, Twitter?
Yeah, now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to GrogCon. I'm in,
right.
3 random people. Feel free to connect with me. And I mean, it's like Uber. I guess it's kind of an Uber kind of thing. But I don't know if I want to be trapped in a car for 12 hours with someone with masks on.
That you don't even know.
And
you
have to have masks on like this. Yeah, that's awesome.
That's true.
That's terrible. All right. Well, very good. They talk about computers, which again, I know you're not a big fan with. Dragon's Bestiary. So is this kind of like the Fiend Factory? Is that their version of it? I'm on page 63.
I've set it down. Oh, did you notice that somebody in one of the articles said, or one of the letters said that they came across Dragon magazine in the doctor's office?
No, I didn't see that.
Yes, somebody wrote, that's where they discovered it. That's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, that would have been a good place to go because they usually have highlights. Didn't they have highlights? That was the only thing that we had.
Highlights, yeah, sure. Or like, food and wine or something, or, yeah, not Dragon usually.
No. The only other part I would mention is on page 64 is Starship Troopers, one of my games that I used to play a lot that was my Avalon Hill game that we would play. Besides Panzer Leader, we played Starship Troopers.
Oh, and I think Title Bout was on there. I loved the sports games, Status for Baseball.
Oh, really? I never played those. No, I never played
Title Bout. Oh, yeah. Title Bout was a wonderful game. So, they had wonderful sports games. Great sports games.
All right. Well, very good. That would have kept me interested. I give it a 6, on a...
Well, yeah. So, to me, the takeaways are obviously the Keebler, who, yes, I'm going to find a place for the Keebler at some bakery in the Gnome Realms. Count on it.
Yep.
And there's going to, and I like the Meeting Demigorgon, which I think we should have a Meeting Demigorgon segment. Because
we don't have enough stuff. But yeah, I'll add it. I'll see when we can put that back in. And this is Dragon 36. All right. Very good. Yes, we skipped the Wormy cartoon. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, I don't think James or I ever read Wormy,
Nah,
right?
we didn't.
I don't even know who does Wormy. I don't even know who does Wormy. Probably should know. I don't. Don't look it up.
Wasn't it? I thought it was Trampier, wasn't it? But maybe not.
I don't know. I have no idea.
We should ask Tim Cass when he was on.
Well, it probably can be found out pretty easily.
Exactly. Well, welcome back to Grog Talk. We've got a couple of guests on. So, Dan, why don't you introduce our guests?
Sure. So it is our pleasure to have Jim Dees and David Spate of North Pole, formerly of North Pole Publications out of Alabama. Jim is the one wearing the black hat, so that's how you'll be able to recognize him. And they are responsible for two publications that I'm very fond of. The first one I learned about was the Tome of Mighty Magic, and then they also published Adventure. It was a company back in the early 80s that maybe you never heard about, but now with the internet, people can learn about it, and we thought we would have them on to talk about North Pole Publication. So welcome, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Good morning. And it is morning for you, Jim, right? Because you're in California time.
But I got a big mug of coffee.
Excellent, excellent. So, all right, well, maybe you guys, take us back to, I guess, around 1980 or so. Tell us how, maybe, Jim, we'll start with you. Had you guys started playing D&D separately and then met, or did D&D bring you guys together?
Yeah, we'd started separate. I think when I met Dave, I was actually still in high school. Well, I know I was still in high school, and I had taken a few college classes between my junior and senior year in high school. And so Dave was already in college, and I met him and the others then and started going to the gaming groups at the college. And we had one Dungeons and Dragons campaign that became a real regular group, and we got pretty serious about it. And some of us had the idea of writing a book.
And what year would we be talking roughly?
Probably 81.
Okay. And David, do you remember that? So you remember meeting Jim?
Yes. We started the company in 1981. I had gotten out of college and was starting a job. In fact, since I started the job in June and I was being taxed at the rate for a full year, I had a big tax refund, and I used that to help start the company.
And when did you start playing D&D, David?
Back in 1978, I was at Auburn University at the time. I got into it rather a unique way. There was a computer club that was starting, and they wanted to do a club project. Someone came up with the idea to write a program for D&D. Well, none of us had heard of D&D except that person, so we went and investigated. The DM I ran under was J.D. Webster. If that name doesn't ring a bell, he did the cartoon Phineas Fingers in the Dragon magazine.
Wow. Interesting.
Awesome. I'd forgotten that.
And so, and do you remember, were you playing, was it first edition? Was it the basic set? Do you remember, David?
Well, under J.D. Webster, it was the original 3 small books, but at the University of South Alabama, it was AD&D, which they now call D&D 1.
Okay, and so you were at Auburn, you're in this club, and then you get this money, you get the tax refund. So the idea to start a company, it sounds like that was your idea?
I'm not sure if it was Doug Bowman's or Mike Poidu's, but at that time I switched over to the University of South Alabama to finish, because Auburn did not have a computer science degree at the time.
Okay, and then that's where you meet Jim, right? Because he's taking classes.
Yeah,
okay.
Mobile, Alabama, the University of South Alabama.
Okay, so you decided to start a company. What were you thinking?
Well, there were things lacking in D&D. Like there was one spell I came up with, Detect Shoals and Reek. If you're doing a sea campaign, you really need some of these utility spells.
Okay, so it was basically to provide additional spells and things that to fill in gaps that you guys saw in the game. Okay, Now, Jim, obviously, you played a tremendous role. At least that's a sense I get. I mean, we'll find out. But so tell me about when did you hear about that the company was starting, and was it something that interested you?
Yeah, I think I think we all came into it at about the same time. I don't remember whose idea it was first. Like Dave, I think it might have been Doug's. Doug was always the business mind. So the idea of making it a company was probably him. For the rest of us, I think that core group were all involved in that one campaign. Mike Poyadu was the dungeon master for it. And David was Ida the druid. And I was going through my dark edgelord high school phase as Eridor, the evil high priest. And Doug Bowman was Aluap the wizard. And so it all sort of sprang from that. I think for me, it was a combination of just being a big time gamer geek, because I was in deep at the time, and then the artistic expression of it, you know, the chance to be a creator that everybody that gets into the gaming does at some point.
Okay, and the first publication, right, is, and that's how I discovered you guys, is the Tome of Mighty Magic, right? A collection of spells. And I don't know if you've looked up. Shall we go on the internet and see how much this thing will cost me?
Sure.
Let's see, the Tome of Mighty Magic. Shopping. Let me see. I think I looked last night, and I think it was running around, I want to say $75.
Wow.
Yeah, or something like that.
I think I still have shares, but I haven't gotten a dividend check in a few years.
That's true. Well, maybe that's why I didn't get a response from Doug Bowman. He was your businessman, right? He's been raking in the money all these years. We got
what did us in, as I recall back then, was, you know, you had all these little small companies that are struggling to survive, and we sold a lot of books to distributors and shops that never paid us for them.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Well,
and I don't think it was anything malicious. I think it was just when they had when the bills came due and they had a choice between paying us or paying TSR. You know, they couldn't afford TSR, so.
Yes. Okay. Well, that's unfortunate. And I looked up on Amazon. It's currently unavailable on Amazon, so you can't find it. And let me see. And I think that I think there was one. Hang on. Yeah, here it is. Noble Knight Games. Yeah, $75. One is available. That's for $75. So tell us a little. I'm going to read the introduction to the Tome of Mighty Magic. And I came across this on a website. Somebody was talking it up. I love new spells. And we'll talk about the spells in there, which I think are fantastic. So it says in the foreword, in the preface, it says that, introduction. So I'm sorry, you have a foreword, a preface, and introduction. In a hidden land, on a distant plain, dwelt three lords of incredible power. The wizard Aluap, an evil archmage, mastered the magics known to mortal men. He worshipped death and kept his quota gleefully. Lord Eridor was a high priest of Set, an archbishop of the mountain fortress Aglorambar. He led an unholy war to conquer the land for Set. The third lord was Ida, an unusual elf of many talents. And so I'm assuming that this is describing characters in your game, correct?
Yep.
Okay.
That was the three.
Okay, and were all these spells, what was amazing to me, so this is a book of spells, tons of spells in here. And what was amazing to me was the number of contributors that you had. I mean, if you look in the index and it lists who contributed the spells, it's an enormous number of people. So maybe the two of you can talk about how many people, which what surprised me, because we had Kelly Villamere, who did a First Encounter magazine in Canada in the early 80s, and it basically was, I think, primarily Kelly. There were some others, but not many. North Pole seemed to be very different. There seemed to be a large group of people involved with this company, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, well, especially that first book, because we brainstormed ideas for spells ourselves, but we invited everybody in the club to contribute ideas, and I forget what we did to compensate them, whether we gave them credit and we gave them copies, and we might have given them I think we got together at some point and divvied up common shares of stock for the company based on how many of their ideas got used in the publication and how much, how many hours they put into coming to the meetings where we sort of group edited the entire book. We all sat around as a group and discussed each spell and what changes we needed to make to it.
Had these spells been used it sounds like a lot of these spells have been used in your campaigns, correct?
Yep, some of them, a lot of them. I think a lot of them we brainstormed for the book, hoping we'd get to use them in the campaign.
Yeah, I think that was most hoping to.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I love about it is it's got a real sense of whimsy at times. So number one, I think it's got spells that I think you really want to have. Like you call them utility spells. I think one of the ones I really liked was Map It. Right? Do you remember Map It?
Not really. I'd have to look it up again.
So gentlemen, I'm sure you didn't realize this when you were coming on, that Dan will be quoting from your book specific sentences and ask you what you were thinking at the time in early 1980s. So please be prepared.
Right.
What was your mens rea when you were creating the Map It spell?
Yeah, and why did you have a material component for Map It, and what was it?
No, pencil and paper, right?
There you go. It's graph paper.
See, that's why you're you. Good job.
That's the wit. Yeah, Map It it allows the spellcaster to travel at normal speed through a dungeon without being forced to slow down to map. A map of the area the caster is walking through appears upon a specially prepared scroll in the caster's possession. This covers all that the caster sees, including illusions. Oh, look, actually does. No, it gives us your material component. I love it. This one is actually listed. I don't know if they all do. It is a fine vellum scroll.
And how much is a fine vellum scroll?
Spell now. Well, I guess I do have that spell now. It's my GPS one.
Yeah.
Well, see, this is like the anti-Gygax, right? Because Gygax was always like, in the DMG explaining how you shouldn't be overusing the spells. He was always bringing the players down, it seems like. This is, you're like bringing them up. This is like the anti, right? This is, like, Gary had identified that you needed, which was terrible. This is going to give you things that are very helpful as well. So do you remember any spells in particular that you particularly enjoyed?
I think for me, I was exploring being an evil high priest. So a lot of my spells were about how to create the evil armies I saw in the movies.
Okay.
How do you make the evil forest? How do you turn a bunch of people into dark religious fanatics? So I don't know. That's kind of part of where my head was at the time.
Well, and I really like
Dave had the idea for Map It. I just looked it up. So he had the very pragmatic.
Who's Map It? Oh, that's you, David? You were Map It?
Yeah. Now, my inspiration for that was in another campaign. My elf was asked to map a dungeon. Well, the party didn't want to do it. What does an elf do for mapping a dungeon? I made notes of all the plant life in the dungeon. None of the other things they were interested in.
Awesome. That's great.
Being chaotic. Map? Me? Really? Come on, folks.
That'll teach
You're always going to be chaotic.
You're never asked to map again. All right, James.
Exactly.
I think the time has come. We have a segment on this show called Spell Selection. And I think it is time for a special edition of Spell Selection, the Tome of Mighty Magic.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Edition. All right, James, I need you to, because look, they don't mess around with levels. There's 20 levels of spells here. So, James, I need you to roll me a die 20.
Okay, rolling a die 20. 11.
11. And the nice thing about this is, you'll be happy to know, gentlemen, that whoever had this actually seemed to have used it because they've written in it. and they've given me the numbers of spells. All right, James, I need you to roll a 21-sided die.
21-sided die?
Yes. What's the problem?
Yeah, so that's...
Swap up the quarter.
Yeah, I guess I could do it that way. So it's 84, 105. So yeah, it's round the thing. I'm rolling a d20, so sorry. A 20. So I'm going to roll a 20 and then let's see. Yeah, 20. Yep, that's what I got.
Stat swap.
Ooh, stat swap.
This sounds like fun, doesn't it?
Better than
All right.
some other.
First, let's see who wrote stat swap. If it was any of our...
I'm going to guess Doug wrote that one.
All right, so it's a trivia. All right. Jim is picking Doug. Dave, who would you guess would do stat swap?
Mike Boydu.
The answer is Doug Bowman. All right. Stat swap. Using this spell, two minds can link, and they may exchange attribute points. For example, the wizard Aluop may link minds with the Amazon Tibera, giving her 2 points of strength in exchange for 2 points of IQ. This may be done only once between any two minds. Bed rest for 1 month is needed afterwards. So those are the kind of spells I particularly like. I mean, who doesn't like, and I don't think either one of you did this, who wouldn't like, remember that spell?
Oh, the big helmet spell.
That's right.
Yes, you enlarge your opponent's helmet so they can't see. I also liked very much the spell. I've used these spells in my campaign. They're a lot of fun, I think, to sprinkle in. I really liked the spell Peephole. If you may remember the spell Peephole, which is a 3rd level spell, which was done by another Doug one. I don't know why he dodged my email. When cast, it was a strange request. You're like doing financial work, and you get a strange email to be on the Grog Talk podcast. Not everyone is as disruptive as you gentlemen. When cast, a peephole goes through the door. So this is very useful, right? So instead of listening at the door, you can actually see through it. So tell me about when you came out with the Tome of Mighty Magic. What was the plan for the company? Because the sense I get from reading the material is you guys it seemed like you had a sense that you were in this for the long haul, right?
Yeah, I think we had the idea that that it was just going to grow, and we were going to write more and more stuff. And I don't know. I was a senior in high school that year when we were doing all this. So how did I know what life was going to be about?
Yeah, Dave, same thing.
Yeah, like I say, I just wanted to game, and I wanted to make gaming a little more fun and interesting.
Yeah. Okay. And so how did it? So how did you go about? So you create this company. How did you go about distributing and selling? I mean, what do you do? I mean, for people like it never would have crossed my mind, in all honesty, to do what you guys were doing. I mean, I think it's very impressive that you even thought about doing. But not only did you think about doing it, you did it. And these truly, I mean, these are quality products. There's no doubt about it. I mean, I'm not just saying it because you're guests on the show. There was a lot of stuff being put out there which didn't have very high quality. I mean, I think everybody knows that, say, some of the Judges Guild stuff was not great quality. It looked like at times stuff was being churned out. But this is a tremendous amount of work. The spells are a lot of fun. They're very useful. Many of them are very entertaining. It's a quality product. How did you go about sending these to distributors? If you just talk a little bit about the business side of it.
Okay, Doug Bowman was the one who handled most of the business. He did a lot of talking with Lou Zaki of Game Science Inc. in Gulfport, Biloxi, Mississippi, and he got a lot of advice from him. He was very helpful to us.
Yeah, Lou Zaki was only about an hour away, and his game shop, his retail shop, was one we went to find games we couldn't find anywhere else. And so that made a big difference, because back then the distributors were big in the gaming industry because they could find all these little independent people trying to create this stuff and channel it toward the little hobby shops that retailed it. And I don't know how the gaming industry back then ever would have got off the ground without people like Lou Zocchi to connect the people making the stuff with the people who were selling it.
Yeah, I see that. And was that Kobe's Corner in Pensacola?
No, Kobe's Corner was, yeah. Go ahead, Dave.
It was a different one. Kobe's Corner was by the Naval Air Station. The one we went to was over by Keesler Air Force Base. I used to get a lot of dice there. And once I got a really good deal on some small 6-sided dice for a low price, I forget it was, I got 1,000 6-sided dice.
Wow.
Well, we've always said there's two kinds of gamers. Those that have one set and those who come with an enormous amount. So
the way I explain it is dragons hoard gold, I hoard dice. I don't know how many thousands of dice I have.
you still have that many dice.
Oh, yes.
Zocchi made the best dice. Yeah, game science dice were a thing back then. Zocchi had gotten some sort of plastic formula while he was in the military, if I remember right. And so he used to have ads that showed how his dice were better quality than anybody else's. And I worked for Lou Zocchi for a little while, for like one summer, and HP, Hewlett Packard, would order his dice to test their random number generators.
Oh.
Huh.
Okay.
Yeah, his dice were made from the same material as the windscreens on airplanes. And the thing I liked the most was because Jimmy and Doug worked there, I could go in the back, and they had this big barrel of dice when they were switching from one color plastic to another that were mixed, and I prized those most of all.
All the world color dice.
Yes.
So how did it sell? So how were you doing in terms of sales of the Tome of Mighty Magic at the time? Because it comes out, in 1982, I believe, in April 1982 was the first printing, and I noticed here that there was a revised edition printed in June of 82, and actually a third printing, which obviously I would have in my hands here, in November of 1983. So it sounds like it was, maybe you weren't getting paid, but it sounds like somebody was getting money for selling these.
Yeah, but I guess it was a good marketing choice to do spell book, because that's something a lot of gamers could find a way to use, right? Even if there's something in there for everybody. So it sold pretty well, and I remember that it did well enough to do 3 printings.
How many were in one printing? How much was in a run? Do you know?
I think each run got bigger than the last, but maybe the first one was like 500, and then 1,000, and then 2,000, something like that.
Okay.
I think it may have been more than that. I remember there was many boxes filled with them.
Awesome.
Right.
And could you talk a little bit about the artwork? Because I thought the artwork was really nice. I really like a lot of the artwork that is in there, and I will show some pictures while you talk about it so people can see.
Was it all one artist on the tome, Dave?
Yeah, Frank Scalfano, who is now a surgeon.
Oh, no kidding. Okay,
Yeah.
yes, it says Frank Paul Scalfano Jr., and there's a lot of them that are just very cool illustrations. What is now the one thing that? Oh, and I like this too. Hang on, I liked the. I think it may have been one of you gentlemen, which is why I wanted to mention it. The yeah, David, you did. You remember this spell?
What's the name? I can't read the screen very well.
It's a boat in a bottle.
Yeah, I tended to do a lot of things that were nature and exploring oriented.
Yeah, you could put a boat. So
Good.
yeah, you can. The spell it will cause a ship and all creatures on board to be shrunk and sealed in a bottle. So those are the kinds of. Oh, and look, and who doesn't like who wouldn't want tsunami? So
Highland doesn't.
They say, well, that's true. That's true. Well, it's all fictional here, right? So
Yeah,
look at some great artwork. Claw.
Yeah, I love that illustration. I remember that.
Yeah, Claw was particularly good. So how did you find your artist? Was he one of your friends?
Yeah, he was one of the gamers.
Yeah, he was in the gaming club he wasn't in that particular campaign that Dave and Doug and I were in, but he was a regular at the gaming club at the university.
Okay, okay. And so tell me, so then you also did an adventure module, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Serpent
That was our
Island.
second publication.
Right, your second publication in 1983. And so the concept was the two of you, was the concept, and the design and development was Jim. And let me tell you, this is a quality. What was your profit margin on this? Because you've got a sturdy cover, you got a really nice map in there. The paper is really good quality. You've got tons of wonderful illustrations. I mean, this is not your in my opinion, this is not what you'd expect from your typical kind of third-party publisher. So could you talk a little bit about the decision to publish an adventure, to move from spells to publishing an adventure, and talk a little bit about the Serpent Islands?
Well, it was, I would have been, maybe 19 to 20. And a lot of that one became my project, and it was like the ideal fantasy supplement that a 19, 20-year-old could think of to make. And then, of course, a lot of the other things, like finding the different artists and stuff, and a lot of the editing and stuff was still done by everybody else.
Yeah, because you had more artists here. So the cover art was Boris Vallejo, and you had interior art by Niels Eriksen, James Prestwood, and then again Frank Scalfano. So it looks like you're bringing in more members to do the artwork. And the amount of play testers you had, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, around 25 play testers. So you have a large group of players that you can play test this with.
Yeah, I think I just tried to run it for as many people as I could find to try and catch things. And I did read it again recently. I sort of skimmed through it. And one thing that strikes me now was just, depending on how the dungeon master decided to interpret some of the stuff, there's a lot of ways for groups to really just get stuck. And I guess, if the game master is reasonably intelligent and is trying to have a good gaming session, that would all work out. But there are times in there when I must have thrown out some breadcrumbs that I didn't explicitly write into the text.
Well, it can be quite deadly at times, so I've read through it as well. I mean, what I really like about this adventure, and truly, this adventure, this is a quality adventure. I mean, you put out a really good adventure, and what I really like about it is that, number one, I mean, you're going to do some things that others were doing too, but all combined, it makes it a really quality product. What I like is that you have new monsters, a lot of new monsters, and that's nice because then you're going to have players who aren't familiar with the monsters. They can't metagame. You've got new spells, all right, and I can't remember if all those spells were in the Tome of Mighty Magic, but you've got new spells, which is really nice. You also, what I really liked about the adventure is that you really try to have it make sense. So you explain how everything is working, who's the different NPCs, what their angle is. I like how you describe how if this happens, then other people are going to be alerted. You really seem to try to take a real effort to explain this place as sort of a living, breathing place, a dynamic place. This certainly didn't strike me as you just go to room 1 and there's this, you go to room 2 and there's this. You really seem to work hard to try to make it all come together. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I would say it was a very earnest attempt, like I said, by a 19, 20-year-old to create what I thought was like the dream dungeon, the way I wish other companies were writing it.
Yeah,
and limited time in the life experience at the time, but I threw everything I had into it.
Well, it's very impressive because, you know, for example, the random encounters, you didn't simply just write, okay, here's a list of the monsters you might encounter. What you also included was an explanation of why you might encounter those monsters there. So that if you encounter 3 whatever, they're probably out doing this. So once again, everything sort of had a reason, right? Is sort of making sense. And what I also liked was right at the beginning, you have a list of everybody that is in the fortress in case sort of the alarm is sounded. And you can kind of keep track of attrition for the baddies, which I really like because I've had to do that on my own for adventures where you've got to go through it, figure out all the baddies, who they've got, so you can keep track of it. You sort of understood at the outset that DMs are going to need that information if, you know, because there's going to be, you know, attrition. And so I thought that was very impressive. It looks like it's made very easy for the DM to run this thing. So maybe you could talk a little bit about the your influence. I think when we first talked, you'd mentioned that you were influenced, I believe, by the island of Dr. Moreau.
That was kind of the idea for the dungeon, was like taking the island of Dr. Moreau and putting it in a Dungeons and Dragons setting. And so it was all about crossbreeding and some evil god that was about perverting nature. And so there was a strong sense of nature in the monsters, but it was all twisted and wrong somehow.
Yeah, and I do like that spell. I think that was a spell that you came up with, the crossbreed spell. What's not to like? So, David, do you remember going through? Do you remember going through and working on and helping Jim out with the Serpent Islands?
Well, it's more from a technical aspect, because I've been gaming more years than he has, especially with my roots with junior, senior high with the Avalon Hill games.
Okay. So tell me about Serpent Island. So how did that fare then? So you come out with that. This is 1983. I think you've done another printing of the Tome of Mighty Magic. We know is November 1983. So 1983, how is it selling? How are things looking at the company?
Well, things were looking up at that point in time. You know, we were selling more and more of our items. The problem was coming up with more ideas that could sell.
And I know you can. Oh, go ahead, Jim.
Well, I was going to say there were some other bottlenecks. The dungeon, it just wasn't as big a market as the spellbook. So there, you know, the spellbook was a better seller than the dungeon was. The dungeon did okay, but you know, didn't take off. We didn't do 3 printings of the Serpent Islands, and then also, so one of the reasons the publications looked professional was my mom worked in advertising, and this was back when advertising was still mostly print. So she actually did the layout for all these products in her after-hours time. But you know, it started with her wanting to help her son and his friends with one project, and then it became more, and so I started to be a little bit of a burden on her. I remember by the 3rd project, her saying, "Well, if it wasn't one I'd written myself, that she probably didn't want to try and commit to that again."
Well, it is very impressive, and you know, it strikes me that it would make an excellent tournament adventure, in my opinion. It doesn't strike me that it's written with an obvious tournament feel. Like there's some adventures it's clear they came out of being a tournament. This clearly is not that. I mean, because you talk about building it into a campaign. But, you know, the nice thing about this would be an excellent tournament adventure because, you know, there's clearly, you know, an objective. And I don't want to give away too much in case James and I want to talk about possibility of using this at some point because we run a summer tournament each year. And I think this would be an excellent summer tournament adventure. It's a very impressive adventure. A lot of thought into it. I, of course, have to ask you, what's the deal with Moose?
That's
Monty
all Dave.
Python and the Holy Grail. You know, moose bites can be pretty bad.
Oh, is that is that a line from the Holy Grail?
Yeah, in the beginning, they go through the moose and they switch over to a llama, and it's based on that.
Oh, I had not. We
I'm
just
a Monty Python fan.
okay. Last episode, we had our Easter special, and we just reenacted the scene with the rabbit. We had King Arthur's troops. I played the rabbit. I beheaded. Who did I behead?
Galahad.
Galahad, gone, beheaded. So that was fun. Okay, so that's what it is. Yes, because I know there's a phantom. There seems to be a moose recurring, right?
Yeah, right. The whole point was for it to be a non sequitur. It was supposed to be just like random and humorous because it made no sense.
No, and that was pretty clear. I mean, and that's what I like about it is, and what I like about the work you guys were doing is that it really hit me in the right place because it is a combination of sort of whimsy and darkness. So, I mean, it's a pretty dark adventure. I mean, let's face it, right? There's more, other than the moose, there's more darkness in here than whimsy, but this has got tons of whimsy, to be sure. So, all right, so tell me, so what happened? Right? I know you do a Rollmaster, if I recall correctly. You do a Rollmaster publication, don't you?
Yep, because we were kind of getting into Rollmaster as gamers by that point. We felt at the time that they were a step up from Dungeons and Dragons, and so we got into playing the Rollmaster, and so we decided to make our third publication. We actually got to know some of the guys at Ice Crown Enterprises, and Doug in particular got to be good friends with one of the people up there at their company, and so yeah, our third module was written for their system.
And I think it was under their name too, wasn't it? If I recall correctly, or
it was officially licensed with them.
Okay. I assume now. Did TSR ever mess with you about the tone? I mean, I know it's for all fantasy role playing, and a lot of people were doing that. I think they were kind of famous back in the day for sending nasty letters. I'm assuming it sounds like you never got a letter.
I think they'd given up. I think they gave up on sending the letters by that point because there were so many people doing it. I mean,
Well, and the reality is, it's kind of like fan fiction. The reality is, for a lot of this stuff, is it actually promotes sales for them, I'm sure, right? I mean, if you've got this, you're playing D&D, probably, right? I mean, you're buying the player's handbook, you're buying the monster manual. There's only, I think, gets the people interested in the game.
It's not a rules book per se. To me, it's a supplement that augments a fantasy system. So, but people are very parochial about their precious, and I was one of them. If it didn't say TSR, it only took me 35 years to really appreciate more things. But back in the day, we had very limited access. We had the local game store, and they pretty much had just TSR products. So it's interesting looking back now how many people like you said, you know what, we can write this, why not? That whole, I think we talked to our guests, it was that late 70s, just before, Dan and I came in probably early 80s, and there was that magic time where people said, hey, we could do that, let's just, get my mom to work on this, and we'll put things together, and people will buy it. Whereas, I don't know if it was a bias, but if it didn't come from an official thing, and it really affected my gameplay up for a long time, that if it wasn't part of the we call the three books the Holy Trinity, but if it wasn't canon, it wasn't legitimate. And I think a lot of people grew up. Did you, and I know Dan's going to talk about it later, did you get a lot of, was that a feeling that happened later with some of your younger players, maybe in their mid-teens versus you all who were in your later teens and 20s? Did you see some of that?
I don't think we were ever stuck as players on it had to be from TSR. We were more like, okay, we were fanatics and we burned through all the TSR stuff and we were just looking for more. It was always just about, what else can we come up with?
They had James. They had the money.
Yeah.
I'm figuring TSR. Look, it's not like anybody bought the Tome of Mighty Magic instead of the spell book, right?
Player's handbook, or what should I do? I'm debating. You ask the clerk, which one of these?
Exactly.
Well, we had a rather
I'm pretty sure we didn't cost them any sales.
Right, that's
if
right.
you look at the spell contributors, Michael Woodard ran a chivalry and sorcery campaign. When I was at college, I ran a traveler campaign.
I remember your traveler campaign.
I love Traveler, and I think
And we had people that ran Metamorphosis Alpha or Gamma World. So we were a diverse group.
Did you guys get letters? Just from not from TSR. So fans, not threatening letters. Did you get letters from fans?
We had spell suggestions and letters from fans. I was the one who checked the post office box. So,
Did you ever get any good spell suggestions? Because you didn't do a supplement. I assume, did any of them make them into a second printing or third printing?
I think the only the additional spells we got came out in one of the dungeons. You know, like with mine, it said new spells. So we just sort of threw it out there.
Hey Dan.
Okay.
Is there a catalog of their publishing in the back that you could fill out and send to them so you could get a copy?
Yes. Yeah.
So you need to fill that out and.
I'm going to fill it out. Okay. So what am I doing here? Yeah. So hang on. Yes.
We no longer have that post office box. No longer.
I don't care. I don't care. I'm sending it.
Since the last time you checked it, it might have.
It might be somebody else. Somebody else now. Yes. We love new ideas. Please feel free to write up your prize spells using the above format. If we like your spell or idea and decide to use it in a future publication, we will send you a copy of the publication for free. Any ideas for monsters, magic items, etc. should be written in the space provided for spell description. We're sorry, but ideas submitted cannot be returned. And so you got to relinquish ownership submitted to them. So they learn from the big boys. They learn from TSR. You got to waive everything. And yes, they did have that.
How much is a Tome of Mighty Magic there if you sent in through the catalog? Can we? I don't want to pay $75 if I can pay, the price in 1980.
We did this. So James and I sent in so I had a friend who was looking for an adventure, and an old adventure from like the late 70s, and we found the guy who was living in Florida, and so I filled out the order form. It was $1, I think, right, or something like that.
I think it was
right?
$3.50.
I filled that. $3.50. I wrote a check for $3.50 and sent it to him, and he actually called me. And said he would send it to me free, and I never got it. Now he's only got a landline, which that's the downside of some of these grognards. What's a cell phone? You're lucky if they have a flip phone. So it sounded like you guys obviously, as I mentioned, you looked like you were in it for the long haul, because in the foreword, Jim. So you are writing on May 12th, 1983. You write, the management and labor of North Pole Publications, one and the same, have been very busy since the release of the Tome of Mighty Magic in April of 1982. The overwhelming success of our first publication encouraged us to set our goals even higher for an encore. And here it is, The Serpent Islands. From cover to cover, it features a magic of artwork and ideas that we believe any enthusiastic fantasy role player will appreciate. And look, there's no doubt, I've said it before, there's no doubt, you could put TSR on this, and this would pass without question, TSR quality. The Serpent Islands is the second in a long line of releases planned for North Pole Publications. And the first of this is where we're getting to, I guess, it's going to be a sad tale probably, in a series of pre-written adventures for FRP Games. So the question is, so what happened? Because after the Rolemaster one, we don't see anything more from North Pole Publications. So what happened?
Doug made a business decision to have a bunch of the Rolemaster one printed, because we had the license and he had big hopes for it, and we printed them on credit with the printer, with the idea then we were going to ship all these thousands of copies out. I think we did like 10,000. And and then all the money would roll in, and the money never rolled in. It was a lot of the people just didn't pay or couldn't pay, or Rollmaster wasn't as big a market, even though either of the products could have been used with any of the gaming systems, by an intelligent dungeon master. Still, it didn't say it was a smaller market we were aiming at by having it tagged in with Rollmaster.
Did you give any thought to going back, though, then to first edition AD&D, which, of course, at that point in time, right, 83, 84, first edition is exploding, I think, at that point in time.
I think, it was the energy of the company, the real core energy of the company was that campaign that we were all part of. And by 84, that campaign had fizzled out, and we were starting to grow in different directions. And so that kind of, the combination of the setback with the business and us all sort of starting to grow in different directions kept us from rebounding. Dave, you might have different reflections.
Yeah, I had gotten married, and with work and everything, I didn't have as much time as I used to, so I wasn't able to game as much. It's just recently I've been getting, past couple of years, I've gotten back into gaming.
Okay, yeah. So let's talk about that. So unfortunately, so the company comes to an end. You go different places.
Is it to the end? Do you still have ownership to it? It's not like, is there another North Pole game?
Oh,
you make it sound like we're talking them posthumously. They're not gone yet. So this is they didn't say when. They said a lot of material. There could be plenty of material coming now. You got to put a teaser out there. We may need a publisher, because for our tome of parenthetical evil monsters that we've been talking about, and our rules of asterisks and footnotes. Those are a couple of publishings that we need some help with. So
maybe North Pole Publications. Where did the name come from? So I forgot to ask that most basic question. Who came up with the name? I mean, you're in Alabama. It doesn't sound like the North Pole.
I think that was Doug. He had to have something to put on the form, and in his mind, that was just one that would be memorable. He read somewhere, the company name had to be something people would remember. And so he just pulled that out of nowhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
3-letter names they don't go anywhere. Like TSR or whatever.
No, this is NPP.
That's right, NPP.
NP squared. NPP. Maybe that doesn't work so well. So we're going to go with North Pole Publications. So, all right. So, you said you entered the Park Ranger Service, correct?
I work for the Forest Service.
The Forest Service. So
that's right. He's a ranger.
You're a ranger. Oh, we should ask them. Yeah. Okay, Jim, would you, if you came across a wyvern,
who's injured?
Now you need. Who's injured? Now a wyvern. Do you remember what a wyvern is?
I do.
Okay.
And I saw a non-winged version just this last week on one of my patrols.
Oh wow!
Wait, what? You came across a non-winged version of a wyvern? I'm confused.
He had the tail of a wyvern.
Oh, like a scorpion?
Wait, what was it?
See, there you go.
Oh, not an actual wyvern. I was getting more nervous.
Version, a scorpion.
So now we're going to allow you to do some metagaming. A wyvern, do you remember the alignment of the wyvern?
I would guess chaotic evil, but I don't remember. I'm just guessing based on what I remember about them.
Okay. David, any thoughts?
Maybe neutral evil. They sure aren't lawful.
It's neutral with evil in parentheses, which must be leanings toward evil. So here's the question for you. So Jim, since you are a ranger, would you protect the injured wyvern from the party members who want to slay it? This was a question in Dragon Magazine. You would?
Yeah, and even toward the end of my gaming days, I got more. I remember one gaming group that I was part of, North Pole Publications, that kind of broke up because we came up on a camp of orcs, and everybody in the party was already planning how they were going to massacre them all. And I was just like, wait a minute, we haven't, there's like women and kid orcs down there, and we haven't even talked to them yet.
The baby orc question.
Just assuming we need to start fireballing them. And no, they were like typical gamers, like, oh, come on, that's what orcs are for. That's what you do with orcs. And
two days later,
it was becoming more complicated for me.
Yeah, 2 days later, Jim stops playing role-playing games until
He's sitting in the village, and they're all destroyed. He's like, "Why am I here? What purpose?" He had existential crisis right there.
This is wrong. I'm joining the Forest Service.
Well, we've always said that is the party. Are they really the good party? Are they truly? If you look through. This village is sitting there, they're minding their own business, and these marauders come in, they kill everyone, they take their stuff. They're the good guys. That's right.
That's why they came up with the phrase.
That's right, exactly.
Yeah, well, like Monty Python, Lancelot and the Holy Grail, where he like runs into the wedding and kills everybody.
And Jim, you told me before that you felt like entering and becoming a forest ranger allowed you to basically experience some of these sort of things in real life. So in other words, you went from theater of the mind to getting out there and kind of having adventures in the real world, correct?
Yeah, I actually continued gaming, well into my 20s, probably late 20s. And then at some point, I remember this little epiphany where I'm like, well, whatever level I get to in the game, and that game that the Tome of Mighty Magic came out of, we were ridiculously high level. There was a reason we were playing with such high level spells. We just kept playing the same characters forever. But at some point, it dawned on me that whatever level you get to in the game, doing something in real life would be like a level higher than that. And that I'd grown up pretty sheltered in Alabama and thinking that all you could do was watch people have adventures on TV or in movies or read about them in books. And it took me a while to figure out, well, I could go have adventures and I could do it in real life. And so, yeah, that's sort of what my life became after that.
Okay. And as you said, and so you stopped, late 20s, you stopped role playing, and it sounds like you haven't played since.
Or you could say I've played every day since, but now I'm doing it in real life.
That's right.
That's right. I mean, my job is running around in the mountains and visiting with all the critters, and yeah. So I've had lots of adventures since then. But rock climbing, trail running.
What's your alignment?
I would probably be neutral good now.
Okay, James, aren't you neutral good?
Yeah, I said that. Yeah, neutral good bent towards lawful because I work in the government, so you got to have some thing for that. You got to at least think what you're doing is lawful and good. So
James is lawful by day, chaotic by night.
Probably.
So, all right, and David, you said so. You got married. And all the other players went boo, and man, David, man, you're either married or you're a gamer. Which is it, David? You got to choose your wife or gaming. And it sounds like David, you picked your wife.
When the kids came along, I just had no time whatsoever.
Yes, indeed. So when did you start playing? When North Pole stopped, and was there a decision basically we're stopping this thing, or did it just sort of fizzle out? I mean, is it sort of like, are some people still wondering why no one's calling about North Pole to like the next adventure, or was there a point in time where you actually got together and said this is it?
I think it fizzled, is how I remember it.
Okay.
Since I wasn't as active in it, to me it was just fizzled.
Okay, and so David, you said I think you started playing again a couple years ago.
Yes.
Okay, and what got you? And so this is not uncommon. It was a couple years ago, several years ago for James and I as well. you may be familiar with, the old school Renaissance, old school revival, this idea of a people like us now are deciding, maybe we had kids and they're grown. For whatever reason, we're deciding to get back into gaming. Was that your reason too, part of this kind of like old school revival movement?
Well, one of my friends who I was involved with due to politics decided he wanted to run a campaign. It was 3.5. He ran that for a little while. Then he had to leave town. Then, like a year or so after that, I found out that someone wanted to run some over at the comic store, and he ran 2. Then he went away. I am an IT person. I was contracting, so I went to the Raleigh area and got into a 5e campaign. Came back, found a 5e campaign. A couple years later, a contract in Wilson, North Carolina, 5e, and now I'm back in the Lexington area for 5e.
You got to look for 1.8, don't you?
I don't know. I kind of like 5e.
I'm sorry, we're having technical difficulty, aren't we, James?
He's breaking up.
He's breaking up. We're gonna have to just let him go, aren't we?
We're still trapped in the. Our show ends in April of 1985. That's what our. Before the book that shall not be named is our.
Oh yeah. Do you guys have any thoughts on? The book that shall not be. Do you know what I'm?
The book that shall not be named. Yes.
I remember that cover, but I don't remember what it was about.
Yeah, no worries. You don't need to worry about it.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
Now, one thing I really hate is back in 2007, I had a house fire. A kid had broken into the house and set the house on fire. I had a first edition monster manual with the TSR Wizard on it.
Oh, is that? That's a shame. Yeah, that's all right. So you don't have a stash?
No, all my old books were destroyed, so I've only been able to get new books.
Jim, do you have a stash somewhere?
Yeah.
I am a pack rat. I don't have most of my old gaming stuff. That got left in an attic of an old house. I do have a copy of Deities and Demigods. And because I went back and found it on eBay or Amazon, because I was getting tattoos done. And I actually have this whole side of my body is all nature spirit tattoos. And so one of the images I wanted, I remembered from when I was a gamer, the Cernunnos, the Celtic god of the forest. And that image of him, the Wild Hunt is the illustration.
Oh, I love so we had on this show, we had Jim Ward.
Yep, that particular image stuck in my mind, and I went and found. I bought the book just so I could take that and show it to my tattoo artist. And we didn't use exactly that image, but I wanted him to see that to know what I was thinking of.
Well, we got to see. Can we see it? Where is it? You got it? We got to see it, right? I mean, you can't say you've got the Wild Hunt, and we've got to.
Well, I'll give you the tour here.
Yeah, all right.
So this is the classic Green Man, but in this case it's me. They're all me, and this is me and Bald Cypress from the Mobile Tinsaw Delta as the Green Man.
Very impressive.
Here is our version of Treebeard.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's great.
So this was Green Heart. This was Green Wisdom, and we talked about wanting him to have wise old eyes. I thought the artist did a great job with that.
Different artists?
No, same artist for all of it.
Who's the artist?
Brian Childs.
Okay.
At Spider Cookie Tattoos in Olympia, Washington.
Okay.
All right. A shout out. Awesome work.
Well, you can see because it's on my back. So you should see Hearn the Hunter or Cernunnos there on my back now, but I don't know. It's kind of hard for me to aim the camera at my back.
Yeah, we see
that
it.
Is good.
Yeah, we see him. That's really cool.
Is that wait?
He has the he has a cloak of leaves, in the descriptions, and it was the artist's idea to have the leaves just swirling about him as opposed to making it a garment.
So is he the master of the hunt, or is that somebody different?
He is. The stories, like stories did back then, because they were all oral tradition. The stories vary and they overlap. So there are two figures around that horned god in the British Isles. There's Herne the Hunter, which was later, and then Cernunnos was actually what the Romans called the image they saw in a lot of the Celtic artwork with the stag's antlers. And so he was associated with death, associated with winter. So in some cases he was just the male half of the divine duo, and the female spirit was more about spring and fertility, and then the male side was the winter and death.
Yeah, and we had Dan Collerton, who wrote Aurelian City for White Dwarf magazine, and had an adventure called Rise in the Dark. Yeah, it starts with the Wild Hunt, so I'm familiar with it. And yeah, you do not want to become part. Well, you don't want to be hunted, that's for sure. And you probably don't want to join in either. It sounds dangerous. But no,
awesome.
That's very cool ink. Thank you for showing us. Yeah, thank you. And I know, Dave, there was a cat there, but the cat has disappeared.
The cat's there.
Cat.
What's
there
the cat's
is.
name?
Rory.
Murray? Oh, Rory. Thank you, Rory. Yeah,
Rory.
thank you.
No, it's going to need a D&D
That's
name.
right.
We're disappointed. All right, James, we have any questions?
They just asked what the cat's name was, so you answered it. So.
That's it. All right. So.
Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for your time today. Like I said, it's really. This has been, it's what's been great about going back after so many years is you get appreciation for how, at least for me, how cloistered our understanding of life was, because it was restricted to the bookstore. Really, the bookstore, whatever they had, that was our world. And even though I lived in New York City when I was growing up, I lived in a borough, Queens, and going to Manhattan was kind of a trek. So you just went to the local game store, and whatever they had there, that's what you had. So it's just to really see that there was such a diversity, and that's kind of going back through the Dragon magazines and talking to folks like you. We really appreciate it. And are you guys on social media now, that if people want to reach out to you and ask you questions about, any rulings on your spells, that they can come find you? Start with Jim and then David.
Yeah, I'm Jim Dees on social media, and I'll have to try and remember the spells. So I don't know if I'm the
just
best.
make it.
Dave's back into gaming now. He might be a better reference.
You can just make it up. They don't care. So,
okay.
David,
I'll make
nice.
something.
Yeah, I'm listed on Facebook as David Spate. I have a couple accounts. The one has the picture of Toomer's Corner. The other one has the picture of me when I'm volunteering at the Transportation Museum. I volunteer at 2 railroad museums.
Oh, wow. Very cool. Awesome.
Okay.
I've got a lot of hobbies.
Yeah, well, hey, that's what age does afford. If you if you're doing okay, you can have some hobbies. Go ahead, Dan.
I was going to say, we had a guest. Was it Alan Hammock, who wrote Ghost Tower of Inverness and one of the Slaver modules? I think he was into railroad games,
I
wasn't
feel like
he?
he did say that. Yeah, and he's in Birmingham, right? Or where is he?
I think is he Birmingham, but he's somewhere in Alabama too.
He's back in the day. So we have a tradition that our guests, if you have a D10, we roll our D10 to kind of see how the lesson thing went.
And while they're getting a die out, can I ask one question
Sure.
before they roll it? So one of the things that I noticed about, because I used the Tome of Mighty Magic, is you didn't divide the spells based upon character classes. So you didn't divide it based upon magic user and cleric. I just wanted to know, for someone who wants to use these spells, how are you guys doing them? Should we just sort of kind of figure out where we think it would be appropriate for which particular class?
Well,
Yeah, I think
works
so.
with that character, they've got all the subclasses nowadays. We didn't have that back then. So to tailor your character to the way you want it to be, you pick the spells that lead you in that direction.
Okay. Yeah, Jim, same thing. Just sort of,
Yeah, we figured it would vary by campaign and by what game system you were using, and you could just plug them in wherever made sense to the dungeon master.
And it sounds like same thing with the spell levels, right? Because obviously, you're going beyond levels, right? Because I think, I can't remember how many levels it was in the Tome of Mighty Magic, but I think it exceeds the levels, right? James, magic users,
9.
how high? 9. So you go beyond it. So same thing there. So don't necessarily, if you're going to use the Tome of Mighty Magic, it sounds like for first edition AD&D, it sounds like don't assume necessarily that those spell levels should be translating identically. You should sort of adjust it as you see fit.
I think we had the idea that like a 9th level spell in our book was like a 9th level spell in the original books. The idea was just we had played characters in this one campaign that were up, I don't remember, Dave, 60, 70 levels.
I don't remember.
So, yeah, it was ridiculous. And so we were all, the idea was that this book got into spells that maybe only demigods would cast, or even we talked about some spells at some point only Pantheon leaders would be able to cast. Like the 20th level spells or something not even Apollo wouldn't be able to cast it, only Zeus would, that kind of thing.
Okay, that answers the question.
Their spell book goes to 11. That's why we don't go to 9. The other gaming systems, they do 9. This one goes to 11. That's exactly right. That's perfect. All right, so roll a d10, David. Since you got the dice, you want to roll high. Oh, 3. Oh, okay.
Oh, you know why it was a 3.
He's the phone.
You know
He's
why?
The phone.
Why?
Exactly. You use the phone.
Yeah.
We don't.
My dice are upstairs.
We got to tell people now they need Skype, but they need to bring their dice with them. So
David was always
it was a 3.
One thing I remember was David. I'll always remember how excited you were when you got your Commodore 64.
Oh yeah,
because it had 64 kilobytes of memory.
Yeah,
and now you could play Pong and do your taxes on the same computer.
That was the game system of choice. We love that. I love that thing, 64. That I had that for years. And you guys,
was that the one...
Go ahead, Dan.
Wait, what was Activision? Was that something?
That's a company.
Game machine.
I'm obviously not techie.
They had Pitfall. They wrote Pitfall and some other things. So and my understanding is you guys hadn't talked in a while. Is that correct? Since this.
Correct.
Yeah.
Not since Mobile.
We haven't talked to Dave in 20, 30, how long? Since probably 1984, 85.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, this is. Go ahead, Dan.
The last time they talked was when David wanted to slaughter that goblin village with the goblin babies.
That's it. I'm done.
That was
You've had enough.
I'm out. You're chaotic.
Would do that. Only some of them.
Okay, the chaotic one. And also, James, I would like to be able to pray to Yurtris, the orc deity of disease, to help us with this plague. Right. So could I do that? All right.
You can roll your divine intervention.
68. Did Yurtris hear my prayers?
No, we are bound for the 5th layer of the abyss next week. We are currently in the abyss. We're going down, because we're all entrapped in our homes. So we're on the 4th layer of the abyss, and next week we'll be on the 5th level. And who are we having next week on our show?
We're having Bill Fawcett from Mayfair Games.
That's right. Bill Fawcett from Mayfair Games will be on. So and we've got another great show. So the only advantage of this pandemic is people who are like, we'll go on your show. We got nothing better to do. We're all sitting at home now. So this has been great for us to talk to folks like David and Jim. Thank you for your time today, and we really appreciate you spending time. Our folks online, we're really appreciative of hearing your story, and they're ready to go on eBay trying to figure out how to procure that. At some point, if you were putting on Drive-Thru RPG, that's if you could digitize that, I'm sure a lot of folks would like that. Drive-Thru RPG is a PDF or print-on-demand service that people do. So a lot of the people we've had on, they've done that because you have an audience out there. People are willing to spend, like Dan, there's a lot of Dans out there who are willing to spend a lot of money for this stuff. So
that's true. Oh, my friend Ed was like, oh, he wanted a copy of the Tome of Mighty Magic because I gave him these spells, and then they're fun spells.
Yeah.
And he used the enlarged helmet.
He did
in the Aurelian Adventure. I mean, he on an evil cleric, and they were fled or something from the evil cleric. So so there is a demand. I can't tell you how much of a demand. It might just be me and Ed,
right?
But there is a demand.
So thank you again, folks. Well, thanks again, Jim.
Yes.
Thanks, David.
Thanks, gentlemen. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
And so for Grog Talk, I'm James.
And I'm Dan.
And we will see you next week on Grog Talk. Take care.